Hello and welcome to unMadeGaming, guys. It is Wednesday, and after the long holiday break, we are back with 6 and 20, The Shroud. Back for Season 3, ready to kick some ass. I'm pretty sure that The Shroud won 6 and 20 as a whole. We rule the city. The Phantoms fled in fear of how awesome we are, and the Void is cowering in the dark pits and recesses of Duskwall. If I'm not mistaken, that's the whole plot. So yeah, guys, stick around for 10 more weeks or 9 more weeks of us we're just going to fuck around and hang out because we already won. So with me here as fellow winners, the new, current, and forever alderman of Crowsfoot, Mr. Crit Dice Gaming. Slade, who are you? What are you doing here? And remind us all, who is the Bower Bottom?
Hey guys, Slade for Crit Dice Gaming, returning as Raymond Bowerstone, ruler of Crowsfoot, and soon to be ruler of everything else.
Benevolent ruler of...
yes.
Perfect. Possibly a god, possibly met a god, might fight a god. Steam, who are you? Greg, who are you? What are you doing here? And who is Steam?
Greg Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter. I play the Lurk Steam, who, as Mike suggested, may or may not be a god. I think we might find out a little bit more about that here in Season 3 of Dusk Falls. 6 and 20, Blades in the Dark. I can't wait, but first, there's some business to settle up from Season 2.
Ooh. Speaking of business, unfinished or otherwise, Miss Ginger Ninja, who are you? What are you doing here? And who are you playing today?
I am Xmas Ginger Ninja. I run a gaming channel and soon to be some D&D. I'm pretty pumped for today. There are some scores to be settled. There's some business to be handled. And we're going to do it the way that we do best, better than the other groups, I feel.
Shots fired. Shots across the bow. And Johnny, here to confirm that we are the best crew and everyone's favorite. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what are we doing today?
Shroud has it on record that I say that they won 6 and 20. Yes. Somebody clip that because Phantom has it clipped too. So just so you know.
Done.
Anyways, yeah, I am Johnny. Sorry about the mic quality. Yeah, I'm the GM for 6 and 20. Run this across 3 different channels, 3 different nights. Tonight is night 2 of the week. Last night, the Void did some really interesting stuff. Tonight, I expect the Shroud to stir things up as they usually do. And then tomorrow night, of course, Phantom will just be continuing to run their little butts off out of the city. So, yeah. Hi.
Sweet. So, guys, before we jump in to our Season 2 recap brought to you by VideostoreCowboy, I will remind you there are several ways you can interact with the show. If you type in !BITD, you can see all the cool ways you can donate. Also, if you look along the bottom of your screen there, you'll see the retweets, subscribes, and follows. And every time you hit those goals, everyone on screen gets a sweet little bonus. So without further ado, Johnny, what happened, and what's the current situation in Duskwall?
Well, so... the current situation is a little interesting. Let's start with the fact that Bowerstone is now Alderman of Crowsfoot. Something that the entire crew had been working towards throughout Season 2. Something that was initially started in Season 1 with the gala at the Ruins of Eden. And now you've seen what seems to be one of the longest term projects that you guys have been working on to its fruition. I mean, that was 11 episodes of effort, guys. So good job on that. In other news, there was this little piece of frustration that happened at the beginning of Season 2 for OC, where she lost her significant other partner. Is that how you would describe Nye?
I was going to make a joke about soulmates, but yes, that'll do.
Soulmates works too in Duskwall, but so you lost her because you gave her to the Dimmer Sisters because she had experienced some interesting ghost trauma and vanished for a while. Ended up in the body of one of the Dimmer Sisters' alkalites, and then eventually found her way back into their possession through the Void. And then you did this little thing where you basically burned down the Dimmer Sisters' house because you did a bunch of murder.
Just a little thing.
Go ahead. It's a tiny thing, really. I mean, come on.
I mean,
The first one totally deserved it, and she was warned. And the second one, I don't like being surprise touched. I don't like people touching my back when I'm walking away from you. Don't do it, guys.
All right, fair enough. And then
Also,
there was-
too many flammable things. Sorry.
Well, technically, isn't that all of Doscall? I mean, you're gonna light this place on fire, right? And then we experienced a little interesting situation with the god to be Steam, who throughout the season he established himself very early on as the man behind the scenes. But when he stepped forward, he rescued his sister, trained some orphans, built a shrine to himself and all of his pantheon of gods, and then learned of a circumstance in which his sister was in danger and went to pick a fight, but found himself facing something he did not expect. And that's where we'll find him when we open this story of season 3. And then there's Nyx. Nyx, who behind the scenes, was manipulating the circumstances around Alderman, Bowerstone, negotiating the meetings, just kind of playing it like the spider that he is, until he had an unusual situation pop up where he discovered that the spirits of the flotilla, of which he considered his family, were following him. And given all of that, he is now dealing with a situation that is incredibly unusual, which is he can begin to hear the bells of the spirit wardens, something that only one other player can actually do over on Phantom Hocus, and he had to meet them. So there's something different and significant going on with good old Nyx there. And the overarching story of all of that is you finally met who was behind a lot of the mechanisms and manipulations going on in the city, a fellow by the name of Chaos, who subsequently was murdered. And circumstances changed when, out of nowhere, a Leviathan kind of appeared and destroyed a big part of Silkshore. And that's where we're going to open up and find ourselves. Now, where we left off with Steam, he was standing on top of a roof across from a whorehouse, having a conversation with somebody who identified himself as a judge, who exhibited abilities and powers that were quite unusual. So now that you've had a little bit of time to think about it, Steam, is there anything you want to say to the judge?
The last time we spoke, the judge said that we had all the time in the world, and then he froze everything that was happening. So I'm assuming that the events that occurred at or the second half of the Phantom season finale would either not be occurring for Steam, or he'd be unaware of them occurring around him. Is that fair to say? Or
they have not occurred yet because time has basically stopped.
Okay. Well, as soon as it appears that time has indeed stopped and there's nothing that Steam can do about it, but he is confident that the actions or the events that are occurring in Chaos's whorehouse across the street aren't advancing to the point where he's lost sight of Sling, he sits down on the edge of the building that faces the whorehouse, crosses his legs, and waits. Says nothing to the judge.
Do you take this as a joke, he says, looking at you inquisitively?
Do you take my love for my sister as a joke?
Your sister's destiny is not yours to control.
No, it is not. But it is mine to save. I can advance her.
And he waves his hand, and time begins to move around you. Faster.
Like faster than normal?
Faster than normal. And within quick succession, you hear 2 shots fired. And as you're beginning to react, as I assume you are, to get up and move towards, you see that she is exiting on the street with Ari, moving quickly away.
Sister!
She can't hear you.
He runs after her.
How do you proceed? Like,
Uh,
how do you move? Like, what specifically what actions do you take?
is she moving faster than normal, though? She's
Yes.
moving advanced. Then he would drop into the devil's footsteps and try to keep up with her as quickly as he possibly could. Just
So
a feat of extreme athleticism,
okay,
just
so
like
explain,
what Nick's used.
okay, so explain something to me very quickly about your use in this particular case. You're experiencing an unusual circumstance.
Right.
You're very skilled with this particular ability. So what does it look like as it looks like she's moving at double time? But her movements don't relay that she's exerting any extra effort. She's just moving.
Well, what this would be for Steam would be he is exerting a tremendous amount of effort to maintain this type of sprint.
Okay.
And as he's sprinting, he's not gaining any ground on Sling and Ari as they're departing the Chaos building. And as the blocks become a half mile or a mile, and he's continuing to sprint and he's not catching up to her, his body's going to start failing him. As he sees her pulling away, Steam would just push himself to the absolute last possible second. And as he would finally hit, the muscles in his legs would fail as he drops to the ground and crumbles to the cobblestones as he reaches towards his sister and doesn't say a word. He just reaches towards the direction that she's going in.
So in your effort to follow her, exerting all this effort, following her at the speed that is best possible for you, you follow her through Crowsfoot. In fact, you make it all the way through Crowsfoot and across the bridge into Charter Hall, and you see her moving across the bridge from Charter Hall into Night Market, heading in a general direction where you know that you've sensed her last appearance, her last location, where the Phantom has located their HQ. And you're at the edge of the bridge as she crosses over and continues on past you. And as you're kind of crumbling at the ground, you hear his voice again, and he says, "Are you satisfied with your effort?"
Put me on an even playing field. You have your magics.
This isn't magic. And he touches your forehead, and immediately you feel completely invigorated.
He'd start running after her again.
And you're able to catch up. And eventually, you find yourself standing next to the train car that the Phantom calls their headquarters. But time is still moving very quickly. You watch them enter. You hear heated conversations going on. And they are making preparations to head somewhere south. But it's somewhere west. But it's the conversations are going so fast, it's a little difficult for you to pick up everything that's being said, but you hear words like Unkiart Park, talk, chaos, just little things. And you hear a snippet about chaos being dead.
Steam smiles.
This just continues.
I'm assuming that I can't interact with them. I can't make noise I'm outside of their...
Right. So you can try to interact, but when you touch the door, when you try to enter, you pass through.
I ignore everything that anybody else on Phantom is saying. I mean, I might hear what they have to say. I would pass through into their car, and I would just be standing by Sling. And as Steam is standing there beside his sister, when he realizes he can't interact with her, he can't stop her, he can't speak to her, he can't hold her, he can't tell her it's okay, he can't say goodbye to her. He knows, he hears, he understands that she's leaving when he sees her talking to, I'm assuming as events progress, they're on the platform of the trains and he can see her talking to the Taikarosi that has come down to fetch her. He cannot stop this. He cannot interfere. He can't kill this Taikarosi that has shown up to take his sister away. He has no power in the situation. So the only thing that he will do is he will stare at his sister, and he will, as soon as he realizes that her decision has been made, he heads for the crow's nest.
So what you experience through all of this, as you enter, they eventually exit the car. They move on to Onkyot Park in Silk Shore. They confront Talk, and they confront his group. And eventually, there is a heated conversation, and they leave. And that is as you are hearing the noises coming from the west towards the lightning barrier. And you see the shape of the Leviathan. But you are vigilant. You are next to your sister. Throughout all of this, every time you take a moment to stop and you look away from her or you look around, you see the judge there watching you. Long coat, draping, not moving in the wind. Brim of his hat kind of pushed back a little bit as he just watches you. Perplexed look on his face sometimes. At other times, an inquisitive look. And occasionally, there is this sense of genuine sadness as he looks from you to Sling and back to you. Eventually, you find yourself back on the platform, experiencing and seeing everything that goes on, and time begins to slow down for you. Just enough for you to be able to hear the entire conversation between Sling and the Taikarosi gentleman, and the exchange between Phantom and Sling. And while you still feel possessed of wanting to save her, of wanting to help her, you get a sense that this might be the right thing for her. And it is at that moment, as you begin to turn and leave, that the judge stands in front of you again and says, "Now do you understand?"
No.
Do you
But I-
see?
Yes.
Good. That's the first step. We'll see you again. Now, find your family. And he turns and begins to leave.
Steam would make all possible speed to the crow's nest, and as soon as he does, as the end of Phantom's finale dictated, he begins to spread radiant plant ash into the air from the top of the tower, marking a signal to his sister.
So again, with an unusual amount of exuberance, a sense of energy that you can't explain, you're able to quickly get back to the crow's nest and do exactly what you just said. And arriving there, getting to the top, beginning to spread the ash, the sense of energy, the sense of vitality begins to fade, and suddenly you begin to feel incredibly weary. So much so that it overwhelms you, and as the last of your message flies into the air, you feel weary and worn. And we're going to cut to OC. Now, I want to do a little bit of a follow-up on that night before we touch everybody else, because I want to ask one question of you after the events of Season 2. Where does OC go first with 9?
She knows that the rest of the group will probably be at the church. So she's going to go to the barge.
With all the events that were going on towards the south as the town is beginning to, as the city is beginning to experience some craziness, chaos. Does OC even take notice of all of that?
Nope.
Okay. So with all of that going on and all of that chaos, we find you alone in the room, the one little room on the barge that is the shrine. How do you close off that evening?
She would be doing exactly what she's going to lead into in her downtime, which is trying to attune. She's going to fall asleep trying to attune pretty much most of the night, doing whatever she can to try and figure things out, because she feels like she's on her own now.
Okay. And we're going to cut to Bowerstone and Nyx, who were last seen under the Crow's Foot Tower, the Crow's Nest, torturing someone. Where were you guys heading after that?
So the last thing that happened is Nyx apologized to Bowerstone and said, "I lied," and then stabbed the blue coat in the neck. And then he turned to speak to no one, as if they were there, and sent this no one to go see Hocus, and used the name Hocus. So, Bowerstone, what are you doing?
Well,
Care to explain who that was?
I do not. As it turns out, I believe there was some residual effect from when I last saw Hocus. I believe I can hear the bells at Bellwether.
And what does this mean for me?
Nothing, but I might be a spirit warden, so that's interesting.
A what?
No, you heard that right. That wasn't a joke.
A spirit warden.
Yes, well, see, they can hear it, and now I can hear it. That's not a mere coincidence.
Well, aren't we acquiring all the assets? But now this.
You were just the first of many.
This, what you would call once a person.
Oh, this is entirely your problem. He was sent to kill you, not me.
Exactly.
Yes. Your friend, Bowmore, as you heard, wants to kill you.
I will deal with Bowmore.
I would cherish to see that.
You're more than willing to help. But as you said, this is my problem.
It is.
We should rally the others. I am surprised they didn't follow us, but I'm sure they are doing what they need to. In the meantime,
I'm sure of it.
keep in touch, Nyx.
You can find me in Eden.
It's the dawn of a new age, my friend. It's the dawn of a new age.
And as Nyx wipes the blood off his dagger, he looks to him and says, "Stay clean, Alderman. That way." And he heads back towards the carnage.
Wait, which carnage?
The carnage of the goat and the two men splayed across the ground, the opposite direction that Alderman Bowerstone goes.
As you two begin to split, you hear an incredible crack of lightning that just penetrates the underground, the catacombs that you're currently in.
Yeah, he looks back and says, "You have city business to attend to. If I find anything, I'll let you know."
A second crack of lightning, louder this time.
You should probably go and find out who exactly you need to deal with.
You stay safe, Nyx.
As
I may
safe
want to
as
kick
always.
your ass, but that's me. Not that lightning. I'll
Go.
see you soon.
And he begins to walk towards the manhole to leave the underground.
So before you leave the underground, Bowerstone, do you take off the
Yep. So I'm going to do some basically searching on the guy for orders given or identification badge. If his face is recognizable after what Nick's did.
The only thing that you recognize is that he was wearing some paraphernalia that indicates that he was a blue coat.
His double-breasted jacket fell open and had a badge.
I'm going to take the jacket then. I'm not just taking jackets. For
What
the
is
sake
with
of
you
taking-
people and taking jackets?
Bloody. It's absolutely
bloody.
bloody from what Nick's did.
Oh yeah, I cut his fingers off over his chest. It's soaked in blood.
I'm just going to take a knife out and cut out the identification just to show that it was a blue coat. I'm going to keep that on me for later.
Gross.
That is really gross. So, do you do anything else with him before leaving that?
I love it.
Gross.
Whoa.
Owen?
No, because it requires stress. And if I take it, I'm immediate traumas.
Okay, so,
So, no.
all right. So, do you take off the outfit then, or do you begin to head back towards? I mean, where do you go?
So for me, I'm heading back to a different location. I'm going to an abandoned library, the home of my other
A
family.
gleaming
Okay,
endowment.
hold on a second.
Hmm?
How do you get there?
So probably carriage.
Okay, so does that
Depending on the chaos of the outside.
right? Do you step outside in your outfit or out of your outfit?
Oh,
That's what I'm
an
trying-
outfit. Barrel
outfit.
bomb. Yeah.
Okay, so as you emerge from the underground, you hear a lot of noise and a lot of chaos going on. Right? There's not only there was the incident, but there's also something going on towards the south of you, and immediately there are calls from the Bluecoats that were at the ceremony. Has anyone seen Bowerstone? Has anyone seen the alderman? Where is the alderman?
Yeah, for fuck's sake. I'm going to, at that point then, try and sneak away and re-emerge.
Okay.
Are there
Re-emerge.
any stone cloaks around though? Is a big factor.
Yes, mixed in with the Bluecoats, and they're both of them are attempting
The
to
stone
locate.
cloaks are gone. The stone cloaks went back to Gallows Respite. Nick sent them to make it look like they were taking Bowerstone to Gallows Respite.
In a huddle in case there was another attack. Yep.
Okay,
They're
that
gone.
order was given. Then I'm going to
that's
Gallows
right, that's right,
Respite.
that's right. All of them
I'm
went.
Yeah, he sent them to make it look like they like.
Except for the two that I was left standing with.
Yeah,
Because I had two on with me on the stage holding our spot while the bullets were still flying. So there are still two soldiers holding the stage if you want them to accompany you to the Gallows Respite.
Yep. I think that's the way I'll do it. So, because I'm not going to do it on my own, especially the way things are going. So, re-emerge as Bowerstone, standing next to the stone cloaks, having them close by.
Still near the crow's nest or at the Gallows Respite?
More or less to the Gallows Respite.
Okay. So at the moment that you emerge inside of the Gallows Respite, and Nix, I'm going to have a question for you about that. That's going to have an impact later, but that's not important right this second. So as you emerge from it, there are people actively waiting for you from the Bluecoats. Alderman, we need to speak immediately. There's an organization of the city council. There's going to be a meeting very soon, and it's actually going to be happening in Charter Hall. You need to get there immediately.
This is a blue coat saying this, yes?
This is a Bluecoat saying this.
Thank you very much. I'll make sure that I get there.
And he turns and leaves. Do you move to attend to the meeting?
With an army?
I didn't ask that. I said, do you move to attend the meeting?
Yes, but I'm not going alone.
Okay. You're taking some stone cloaks with you. That's
Yes.
fine. Okay. So when you arrive at that particular meeting, there's an emergency call of the entire council. That means all the aldermen of all the districts are there, and 4 of the 6 city council the core council, the six, are there. The two that are missing are Rowan family and Balmore.
Of course they are. Of course they bloody are.
And it's an emergency session as they begin to discuss what they're going to do about the Leviathan that is currently trying to press its way against the lightning barrier outside of Silk Shore.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big hubbub, and it ends up taking a fair bit of time, and eventually there's some organization where they're going to call on the Imperial soldiers to come and support the Blue Coats as they try to evacuate as many people as possible to get out of the city via the rails. And so, at that point, one of the aldermen for Brightstone says, "Well, what about the council? Should the council evacuate too?" And they say yes, and they begin to evacuate everybody to the rail station. You and your stone cloaks are being asked to follow along.
Okay. This is a turn I didn't see happening.
Are you going to acquiesce to the situation, or are you going to?
No, I'm not leaving.
Okay.
So I'm going to slip away. I don't know if I need to make a roll for that, but I'm going to slip away. And go back to Eden.
Okay. So explain to me how you're going to escape with 10 other aldermen and 4 other individuals representing the 6 on the council.
So
with a
because his
private security that are attending them, including your stone cloaks.
Yeah. So Raymond's outfit is the same grey as the stone cloaks.
Mm-hmm.
So the way he's going to be moving them in a massive crowd is he's sort of going to be at the back right of this group moving, slowly through training, merge his way to the back, and then slowly part way from them. So everyone is moving forward, but slip away quickly behind an alleyway or just behind a carriage or some large object to hide his image as everyone continues moving forward.
So in the evacuation, they take you through the building. There are attempts that you try to make to get out of that. However, you cannot do it before you get outside of the building because their security is pretty damn good, and they're starting to load everybody into carriages to take them directly to the rail station.
Screw it. I'm going to take that trauma.
And do what?
I'm entering the ghost field, and I'm slipping away.
Using what? Devil's Footsteps?
No, Ghost Veil.
You're going to use Ghost Veil.
Yeah.
How much stress do you have left?
2 left, and it takes 2 to go into it. You want me to narratively say how this happens?
Yeah, I'm going to want you to do that. But I'm going to ask a question from our resident expert on all things traveling through the ghost field. What do you think would happen if he did this?
He's going to pass out.
Pass out where?
I would say that the same thing kind of happened. You and I were talking about this whenever I was stealing Sling. I would say that at some point he's going down. And he doesn't have as much experience with slipping into the field as Steam or like Hocus or somebody like that. I would say he could probably get clear of where he is, but at some point he's going down. I mean, that's the mechanic of it. He hit his trauma threshold. He stressed out. That's you read the book, man. It says you're going down. So.
Are you trying to get in a sewer to go back? Like, how are you, if you go slip into the ghost field, how are you trying to get back? Because that's probably going to decide where you pass out. You're going to pass out in a sewer, then probably.
Yeah.
And not to be you have 2 stress left.
Yeah.
You can do the ghost field, but you can't go full bye-bye, and you can't go.
No.
Yeah,
it's just slipping into it. It's not invisible.
You can go in blurry, basically.
Yeah.
Right. But the ultimate question that I'm reaching for is, does he return? He passes out in the ghost field.
Yeah, he'd pop back in because he's not of the ghost field.
Well, that's like the
No,
girl who
not-
got hurt. She got her hand cut off, and then she was in so much pain and couldn't focus as she popped back in.
Yeah.
Right, but she was in pain, right? This is a situation where it completely incapacitates him.
So
I'm just
I guess the question is,
any residual effects that the table thinks would happen if that's the case. Does it last longer because he's not conscious? Because he consciously moves into the ghost field, right? He's having to throw a lot of effort. Eventually, yeah, he will return. I'm just wondering if there's any lingering effect from that.
I would say this. I would say it depends on the trauma that he takes. If he takes one of the cold or vicious or one of the traumas that trauma selection here might depend on a ghost field residual effect that's relatable to the trauma. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So you already are unstable. Is that correct? That was your first trauma,
that is
right?
correct. Yes.
Do you have a plan for the second? I mean, I hate to get mechanical about this,
No,
but
let me
do you have a
get
plan
to
for your
the.
second trauma?
I mean, vicious was pretty good.
How far
Oh,
away
right.
is he from everything? Where is he right now?
He's
Charter
far.
Hall, right?
He's in
Yeah.
he's in Charter Hall, right? He's in the center of Charter Hall, and he's being evacuated out of Charter Hall, essentially the council chamber from the seat of government.
Yeah, like Trent said, does it take a force of will to return from the ghost field?
That's why I'm asking the question, because I think there's a
Yeah.
certain amount of, does he wake up conscious in the ghost field and then return, right?
I think it would be cool if he woke up and realized he was stuck in the ghost field, and that creates the trauma.
That's what I'm reaching for, right? I mean, because
Yeah.
it from a narrative sense, I think and that vicious might make sense, especially since you have to get angry, you're frustrated with the situation, being forced to do that. So,
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
he
what
would. Yeah, he would technically be a ghost for as long as he was slipped into the ghost field, correct? He'd have the same properties and everything. And ghost fields that are ghosts that continue to are recently created are supposed to be the most violent, correct? Because they don't have their shit together yet.
that's correct.
Well, he could wake up and be halfway through turning into some ghost, but he's not dead yet.
What if you take the haunted trauma literal?
Oh, dude, there we go.
Wow,
Ooh.
that would be really good too.
Let's fuck Bowerstone up big time.
Welcome
Yeah.
to season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool.
That is cool.
Okay, so you're going to take the trauma haunted.
Yeah, I think that
And so-
sounds pretty boss.
He has to concentrate to stay out of the ghost field.
You're so fucked this season.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so I have one question about that from a precedent-setting circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean he goes into the ghost field when he's asleep? And he turns into the ghost field.
And he starts down that path of the vicious ghost.
I can't go home.
He can't go home. He can't.
Sure, he can.
This is like a
Tuck you
devil's
in.
bargain, dude.
No,
We'll tuck you in.
going home to the wailings of his parents and baby sister that all died and screaming in the ghost field at home.
Sounds like
Okay.
a party.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like a...
All right, so Raymond, please
Yeah.
narrate your escape into a sewer and ultimately passing out.
So, all in the carriage. And, of course, with all the aldermen's whatnot, bickering and discussing, most of them in panic because they're out of their comfort zone without their servants around. And Raymond is there nervous now. He's away from his team. He doesn't want to leave them. He has things to do in the city. He has to leave. He cannot stay here. And his body begins to shake. He's already been through enough. And can he push his powers through once more just to get out of this? And his ears begin to hear strange things. He hears a crying. Is it a familiar cry? He can't remember. But he knows he has to get out. So taking one draw of a breath, as he tries and focuses, he looks out, and him entering into the ghost field, he almost sees this smoky hand almost reaching out in front of him, wanting him to come out. And he doesn't know who this is, but he feels like a comfort, like this is going to lead him somewhere. So as he grabs hold and his eyes begin to close, as he enters in with this gush of wind, and he enters into the ghost field, slipping away as he hears the carriage roll on, but his body begins to shake, and he can feel himself getting ready to collapse. His vision in his eyes, he can feel himself almost glitching in and out of reality and what is true and not. He finds the nearest sewer grate, which he knows he's traveled through many times, slipping through there. And as he slips through down to the bottom, he immediately blacks out on his way down and crashes into the sewer and leaves himself unconscious there, and his body slipping in and out of the ghost field and reality.
And we're going to fade on that.
So, John,
Now,
I have a question for you.
I'm gonna let me set
ahead.
something up real quick, and then you can ask the question, and then I've got a question for you. Now, Raymond, as per, there is a bit of mystery about some of your background, anyways. In this particular case, I'm going to let you tell us at some point what that trauma, that experience of waking up and trauma happens.
Mhm.
I'm not going to narrate it. You're not going to narrate it right now. When it comes up, I want you to be prepared to tell that story, whether it's to the table as, you know, in character, or whether it's just as a part of the narration, and make it good.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Nix.
So this goes with and or against what you just said. Can I, this is completely meta, since Nix Wood obviously covered in blood, he can't walk the streets normally, he's going to take the secret pathways back to Eden. Can I roll a fortune and see if I stumble across the phasing body of Bowerstone?
Would you come across that given where you're going?
If you look at the map, Crow's Foot goes right to Charter Hall and then to Six Towers.
Yeah, it goes right through. That's the path that I took back from Sling.
I'm just
That's a
picturing...
really good question, because if he is using a same known underground tunnel, essentially, in Charter Hall, that you all would be frequenting, or at least have experience or knowledge of, the likelihood is very possible that you would run into him. Whether you would actually see him is something completely different.
Well, we have Ghost Echoes.
So, given that, I'm going to say yes. Let's do a fortune roll.
Also, the ghosts that follow Nyx know that Nyx and Bowerstone are comrades. So if he even got close, wouldn't they be able to say, hey, you know, somebody might even approach Nyx, one of the ghosts, and kind of direct him to Bowerstone. So if he got within, you know, half a click or something.
Nyx doesn't actually interact with his family.
Right.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
only person he interacted with is his sister,
Yeah.
right?
And his father, and his father is the weakest of the ghosts.
Right.
All
His
right.
mother-
She was sent off. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. She was sent off at this point. Now he could call on them. He could try, and we could make that an attunement roll instead of a fortune roll. The question becomes, do you want to remove this event from Bowerstone?
Absolutely
wanna-
not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So I'm gonna leave it up to Slade then to make the decision about what happens here. What would you prefer to happen? Would you rather Nyx find you, or would you rather at some point reveal narratively how crazy and fucked up it was when you woke up? Because then what happens is that instead of it happening
Yeah.
off screen, it can happen essentially, you know, or the story can be told tonight, kind of a thing.
Yeah. You know what? Let's let it unfold. I rather you. Yeah.
Okay, so that means we're not going to do the fortune roll then, or the attunement roll.
Yeah.
Just to confirm.
I'm
Okay.
not- yeah. We're going crazy tonight.
All right. So before we do the time jump, I have one question for Mike on something that was said about Bowerstone and the Stone Cloaks.
Mm-hmm.
They escorted Bowerstone back to Gallows Respite. Are they aware of Bowerstone's alter ego, or that there was a switch happening specifically for that, or is it just they were told to take a decoy and go a different direction?
None of the above. They were told to huddle and make it look like they had Bowerstone and then march towards Gallows Respite. They brought no one.
Okay.
They just
right.
like you know when like bodyguards kind of close in on the person they're protecting. They basically did that, except there was no one in the middle, and they just walked.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we're gonna fade. There's gonna be a time jump of 2 weeks. I'm gonna tell you a couple things that have happened in that particular time, and then we can open up with payoff, and then we can talk about downtime and things that happened during that 2 week period of time. All right, so subsequently, wherever you guys end up at the end of that night, the following events happened. There were 3 cracks of lightning seen across the sky that those that are left in Dusk will talk about. There was a crack of white, there was a crack of red, and then a crack of gold. The 2 white and red were very close to each other in timing. The white and red were close at the same time. The gold happened after the Leviathan broke through the lightning barrier. The Leviathan broke through the lightning barrier here. If you're looking at the map, it broke through here at one of the exits from the one of the canals into the Void Sea, and made its way to Ankart Park. And now its carcass covers the majority of Ankart Park, and Ankart Park is closed off. There is a pervasive, disgusting smell that permeates the entire city from the rotting carcass. A number of citizens, mostly merchants and nobles and more of the upper middle class, were able to escape on trains. The lower middle class, lower class, and civil servants and the Imperial Army stayed, but ultimately nobody knows what's really going on. It's been 2 weeks. Trains have been returning with citizens, but not in the same droves or the same volume of the exodus. A number of other things are revealed to you, Nix, by and OC by the various Rook networks that you have. Just 24 hours prior to the events of the end of that night, you guys had heard about the 20 iron ships that were steaming out to sea. Of those 20, only 5 have actually returned to port, and they are all badly damaged. The reports of rumors spreading that there are no more Leviathan in the sea. Some ships that were equipped to go out and support those iron ships, that were equipped with Leviathan hunting gear, none of those have returned. There is a call going out to anybody with skills in relation to shipbuilding to return to the docks or find work in the docks immediately, as there is a desperate need to build more Leviathan ships or repair the current ones. The Imperial Army has surrounded Ankart Park with the help of the cabbies and the gondoliers. They're patrolling both the waters and the streets around, and preventing theft of any item, any body part, blood item coming off of Leviathan, because right now that is the only known source of Leviathan blood and body parts. And it is beginning to rot, and they are systematically trying to break it down as quickly as possible. The Lord Inquisitor, High Inquisitor Skurlock, has returned from the Imperial City with an army. He is currently patrolling the city on foot with different groups of soldiers at different times, as if he is looking for something. And they are establishing essentially order. They have not issued martial law. They have not called for a lockdown. The only place that is off limits is Onkart Park at this point. Raymond Bowerstone, new alderman of Crowsfoot. The city council was eventually evacuated, but was one of the first to return within a couple of days. In that time, you were called upon because you were the only city official left in the city. So you were asked to start making decisions in their stead. At their return, the city council and the aldermans began to take, more of an equalized sort of democratic control over the preparations and the repairs that are going on in the city, dealing with the Leviathan parts, and coordinating to get everybody back into the city. You have been tied up in meetings and in government process, since that period of time, giving you very little time to kind of breathe. When you do get time, you are haunted, literally. You are seeing and hearing things that make you incredibly uncomfortable. You barely get any time to take a breath and spend it with Steam or Nyx or OC at this point. You do, however, get to keep your stone cloaks around you. What have the rest of you been doing for these 2 weeks?
Do you want to go?
Okay.
Go ahead, Steam.
Do you want to start? Do you want to establish this happening?
Steam can start it.
Okay.
Well, this would be the morning after the season finale. At the very beginning of the 2-week time jump, this would be morning 1 of the 2-week time jump. Steam would, as he awoke from inside the crow's nest, he would, the general ordering and everything of the crows he puts into Gillis and Dahl and has them, they pretty much fall in line as far as the politics and the general operation of everything. But he's going to go to the barge because he is in preparation for additional activities. And he walks on board.
OC is down below. She's taken off her jacket to use it as a pillow, as she still has the ripped and burnt clothing on, but she left her jacket outside, so she's just laying on it, and she's still half out of her mind, half talking to this bottle, trying to attune to it when she sees him.
And you're in the main area, correct? You're in the church, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as soon as Steam would walk and as soon as he crosses the threshold, he knows that there's somebody else there. And as soon as he sees that it's OC, his hands immediately drop to his knives at his belt. What are you doing here?
Well, I found Nye. Say hello to Nye.
I don't care.
How's your sister?
You found your bottle. Good.
Hmm?
Let's see if you can find your blades. Or else get off of this goddamn barge.
Well, that's no way to speak to a god. She's just thumbing the bottle.
See.
So she'll take her jacket. She'll put the bottle, kind of tuck it into, for longer than she should, into the jacket, nice and safe, and walk over. Are you not happy to see her? Or is it still all you fucking care about is your sister, who doesn't want you anyway?
Enjoy your
When
stay.
I'm done with you, I'm throwing that fucking bottle in the canal.
I'd love to see you try.
You won't be around to see it.
Mm.
Let's go.
She's going to wait for the first move.
Oh, okay.
Steam does have lightning reflexes.
Oh, happy team, happy team.
So when he goes for her, narratively, I think when he goes for her, she's going to try to slash at him quickly, like pull and drag as he pushes past.
So as she tries to push and pull Steam, Steam allows her to grab hold of his wrist. And as she begins to pull, he turns into it, underhands his blade, and runs it along her ribs through the dress that's been cut, exposing them and drawing a huge, maybe 2-3 inch gash along her, underneath her arm. And as he spins around, he turns back around. You don't understand. You never understood. Obsessed with this goddamn ghost.
I thought you would understand more than that. Your sister's a ghost now, no? She alive? How's she doing?
You kept her from me. You did it for your own ends.
Would you or would you not have left all of us for her when she doesn't even want you?
And what does that matter? It is what I want. What do you care of my feelings for Sting? What about your feelings for me?
Those went out the window when you chose her.
There was never a contest between the two of you.
It's all right. I understand she's blood. I would choose Nye 1,000 times over any of you.
Blood, you say? I see that yours is already seeing the air. Let's see how much you have in you.
Maybe I won't hold it back now.
Let's see. If I can find where my shit is.
Amber, you can buy your t-shirts, your merchandise. The links will
So when he goes for her this time, he's not distracted. He's concentrated, but he's just going for it, given the digs that she's put in. And she uses that momentum to her advantage to duck behind and slash at the back of his thighs as he runs by.
And as he's coming in the way that he would kill someone. He's coming in, one knife at the throat, one at the belly.
You've gotten sloppy. Are you tired from chasing your sister all the way around the city?
So what do you do to me?
She slashes the back of your leg when you run by, and then jokingly kicks you, like almost to taunt you as you fall, like as you keep going.
Perhaps I taught you too much on this barge.
Perhaps I have not taught you enough.
You fancy yourself still a god, OC.
Apparently gods do bleed.
But do they die?
If that's what you wish. I have found Nye. She's nothing more than I left her. Nothing has changed. Now I only fight for fun. This is a means to an end for me.
If you truly believe that, you wouldn't have come here.
I figured
Why
you'd be
did you
busy.
come here?
Maybe I thought you could help me fix Nye.
And why would I do that? Before, I would have done anything for you. I would have died. I would have laid open my own throat because you are a god. You're more than that. And you took from me my sister. You took from me you. Why?
I did not take your sister. She left willingly.
Why did you take you?
I am in this alone. I went to the sisters on my own. No one would help me. No one gave a shit when she was around helping. No one cared. So I went on my own and I got her. I killed every last person in that house and watched it burn in amusement. Now this is all I have. She points at the bottle.
This is the story you have told yourself, OC. Because if it were true, if you believe yourself to be alone, why did you come here? Again.
It is a house of gods, is it not? Is he going in again? Okay.
Fuck. Double crits, man. What the hell?
This is my 3 beats his 1, right?
Yep. It's
So-
it's like poker.
So when he goes in for the fight, she steers him a little bit too close to the bottle, and she pushes him past again, but she grabs onto his chest with one hand and slides the sword through him, actually through him at the very edge where it would be non-lethal, but enough to make a point, and pull it back out as she lays him down next to the bottle, and the bottle rolls out of my jacket, and I grab it, and I'm looking between him and the bottle. She is the only one who ever cared about me. My family, the sisters. Sisters, can you believe that?
You're wrong. You're wrong.
I did not lie to hurt you. I lied to help you. Where is your sister?
She's gone.
At my hand?
At her own.
That's all I wanted. That's why I'm here. You need to see why she left. And her writing is still there, isn't it? If he attunes. He hasn't seen it yet, right? She'll point at it. She chose this. Your family is alive and she cares for you. Be grateful for that.
I am looking at my family.
Help me fix her. Please.
Help me trust you.
She's looking around.
He puts his hand out. His one hand's holding his side, and he's asking for the bottle. I will never trust you again unless you give me Nye.
She's going to hand it to him. And as she's handing it to him, she's going to pull his mask off and take a deep breath one more time.
He falls into her arms.
Gross.
Johnny had enough.
Yeah, he had to go. He had to go.
He's
handle
throwing
his-
up off
his
screen
business.
right now.
Sorry about that.
Sure was.
Sorry about that. Let me just do it again.
Just do it again. Yeah, sorry about
I
that.
need a moment to myself, real quick, guys.
So, is that where that ends? Is that, or do we fade as you fall into?
We are going to discuss one more thing before this ends. I have been training so that I can fix her. I'm not strong enough, but you may be.
I have been training as well to fix her.
I know about the children and your plans.
Do you?
My girls see you go there.
They are going to need a teacher. Someone, and he looks down at his side, who knows their way with a sword.
Judging by the looks of it, that would probably not be you. And she'll smile.
Judging by the looks of it.
And that's it. Unless Steam has something else to add.
Nope.
Okay, so wait a minute. Let me just make sure I understand the ending of this scene. This is the two of you looking into each other's eyes and talking about this, right? Just as we get into fade, Steam begins to relax, looks off to the side, and sees the judge watching him from a distance, disapproval on his face and shaking his head. And that's where we're going to fade.
Fuck you, old man.
All right, so that's happened. Like the blue sun cup. By two hands of blue. Where does that find everybody? What else happened during the 2 weeks, guys?
OC would have also, at a later date, told him about the sisters, what had happened, and about the vision that they were terrified of the two of them fighting on the barge. His light was gold, I believe. What was it? And mine was red. OC's aura or soul was red, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She would tell him about that and that she's worried.
Okay. Do you share that information with anybody else in the group?
No, not yet.
Interesting. Okay. So does that mean that OC and Steam are basically spending their time together recuperating and through those 2 weeks?
She would probably ask him to help attune because that's going to be her downtime. It's probably him helping her attune.
Yeah, his downtime is in preparation for getting the skills he needs to help with Nye, and also he is going to bring the Taikarosi children to the crow's nest.
Okay, that took me back by surprise. Can you talk a little bit about that?
As identified in season 2, Steam began to go to the Strathmill House, which is the orphanage in Crowsfoot.
Right.
He began to frequent that place, and he identified 15 Taikarosi children, ranging, I believe we said, in ages from like 6 to 13, right around in that area. He began to teach them how to fight because Taikarosi are considered second-class citizens and have an extreme prejudice against them by a lot of the rest of society. So he wanted to make sure that as he was abused and bullied growing up, these children were not. And as he continued to teach them, he would get more and more of them into the fold until there was the full 15. I completed the clock for the last one, which was basically like to get them to trust him, believe him, all that good stuff. At the season finale, and he is going to get them and bring them to the crow's nest where they will continue their training.
And you steal them out from under the orphanage, basically, just outright.
He's going to come in and get them. Yep.
Is that a significant event, or he just comes in and gets them and going? Because I'm imagining that if he was to walk in the front door and make that happen, it would be quite an affair.
Well, the thing is, from what I read in the book, and this is meta, of course, but I mean, obviously this would be the word on the street, is that a lot of the criminal organizations, the Crows included, used to go to the Strathmill House to basically say, oh, hey, look, she's 17 or 16 now. She'd make a great lurk. Come here. And they would just conscript right out of the orphanage with the older kids. So he's just going in and taking 15. And if rumor or reputation of his association with Bowerstone and his association as the boogeyman to the Eruvians and all that stuff were to hold up, he'd be able to walk in there. And they're Taikarosi. I hate to say it like that. They're Taikarosi.
No one's gonna.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about these kids. So he's coming in to get them and bring them out.
OC will go and persuade people if she needs to.
Christ.
We're not burning any orphanages to the ground. Let's calm down, everybody.
Okay, so that all makes sense. That's. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't some sort of exaggerated affair, or there wasn't something, right? It falls in line. That's what I was looking for in respect to clarification.
Yeah, it's
okay.
almost like business, just straight business,
Okay, great. What about Nyx?
So that missing, the wheel with the missing name, the clock with the missing name, is Nyx's desire to befriend the Path of Echoes.
That is correct.
And in the absence of everyone at Eden, Nyx is left to his own nefarious means. And he is going to pursue the Path of Echoes. Yeah.
Okay, so then we will resolve that in downtime. If that's, because what I was trying to do is just kind of get a general sense of what everybody's doing. Given that you're going to be doing that basically, and that's your long-term project downtime, then we'll just go ahead and resolve that as it happens there.
Yeah, Nyx doesn't have much else to do that's outside of downtime, especially with no one around.
Okay, great. So then let's go ahead and shift into the present and start with payoff from that last score.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think? Where did you guys end up from a coin perspective?
From a coin perspective, man.
Correct. We're gonna start there, and then we're gonna talk about rep.
How much does being alderman pay?
Yeah. I guess that's the.
Civil servants don't get paid much.
Not in my country.
So we have. So I'm not sure how this equates to the size of the score, but we have Bowerstone, who became the alderman, a public second assassination attempt that he successfully evaded right before all literal hell broke loose in Duskfall.
That's correct.
And then he became one of the only councilmen in the city for a good minute. So I think
72 hours at least.
Yeah, so I think the Alderman Bowerstone is a big deal right now. He essentially ruled the city for 72 hours and survived 2 assassination attempts.
Is that reputation? That's
what he did was there's a hero narrative that's being established that he was the only one who decided to stay with the city and oversee its safety and its the security. So there's a fair bit of fanfare about him, regardless of the return of everybody else, and it has made him a little bit of a target from the other aldermen and the Council of Six. However, he is so popular in the public eye right now, nobody would dare make a move against him. That being said,
could there be a bigger
he's still pretty busy.
So I would say whatever medium job is.
Okay, so that would be 6 coin, decent loot.
Okay. Everybody take 2 coin? Yeah. Slade and Bowerstone, OC, and Steve take 2 coin.
Cool.
So, 2 rep to start by default.
There was murder.
That's heat. 2 rep by default.
Oh right.
There was not really an opposing force here, unless you count Balmore.
And the blue coats?
I don't know. What was it opposing? Was it opposing me direct or the Shroud?
So the murder. So any action against you becoming alderman, the assassination attempt, while maybe directed towards you, technically would still be angled at the Shroud because
Bowmore knows who I am.
Right.
Oh,
well,
that's right.
And we're in public with you now.
That is correct.
That is true.
Very, very correct. Even though somebody tried to announce it and didn't get around to saying, "Hey guys, we're the Shroud." Mic drop.
No, it's not a we.
Hey guys, I'm the Shroud.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now I got it. All right. Now I got it. Okay. So, so 6. Sorry, no, not talking coin. We're talking rep. So there wasn't really a tier. However, given Balmore is a member of the Council of 6 and it's a noble family, I'm going to say there's going to be 2 additional rep. Excuse me, 2 additional rep to represent that particular element of it. And with that, we're going to move right into heat.
So before we do heat, real quick,
sure.
Everyone cough up 4 coin. Just delete it right off your sheet. Because we're now tier 4.
How long will that last?
Yeah.
That's a rude question.
Hopefully 9 more episodes.
Roundabout. So now about that heat.
Okay, guys.
So
in the scope of... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I think in the grand scheme of things, the 2 goats that died, we should put a memorial up. That's probably the most heat that we're going to get.
Shut the fuck up.
Has anybody told Louise? Oh, that's right. I told Louise.
Yeah, she yelled at me.
Did you get her letter?
She yelled at me. I didn't get a letter, but she yelled at me.
So, yes, memorializing goats, but we leave that to Alderman Bowerstone. He I think would earn some points with the children by memorializing the 2 goats who sacrificed their lives for all of it. Okay.
Sure. More taxpayers' money spent on worthless crap.
Basically. All right, guys. Heat. Was this smooth and quiet, or was this wild and devastating? And then anywhere in between, right? I mean, we've got 0 to 6 to start.
So what's the one right below wild and devastating?
Loud and chaotic.
I would say I would argue for that one only because in the grand scheme of things, what happened right after we fucked shit up was way worse.
What?
I think it would be a way more big of a distraction. The Leviathan breaking through. I'm sure no
not
one
the
notices.
fire.
Yeah, not the fire.
Right, which is why
So
I would
many
say
events.
it's actually probably contained
Okay.
and loud and chaotic. And here's why. While the events would have been significant enough on their own, the Leviathan appearing, that really kind of changed the narrative for a lot of events that were going on in the city, for a lot of things, right? Coachella didn't go off. The lightning tower, activation for the new lightning tower, that happened, but anything that happened there, including Bowerstone supposing to attend that ceremony, didn't happen. So in the grand scheme of things, about the only thing that's important right now is that Bowerstone was trying to be assassinated by Balmor, and only certain groups would really know that, right? The Brightstone Bluecoats. Anybody directly connected to Balmor probably knows in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, I don't think there's a lot of exposure given the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
So I'm going to say
contained it is.
2
I would agree. So you said how many? 2? 2?
To start.
Okay.
High profile or well connected target. Alderman Bowerstone counts as that, so that's an additional 1.
Yep.
Did not happen on hostile turf because technically you guys own Crowsfoot now.
Yep.
You are not technically at war with Balmor yet.
Yeah,
However,
in fact,
this
we thought we were friends with him.
would be considered an act of war. So consider that as a part of it next time.
Mm-hmm.
However, there was killing involved. So that means 2 additional heat there, which brings you a grand total of 5.
Okay, we are at 6 heat. 6 heat, 1
heat
wanted.
Level, 1 wanted level.
Yep. And
All
we
right.
are still slippery when you roll those engagements.
Of course. So, 6 heat, wanted level. So why don't we go ahead and start with downtimes while I roll that privately.
Okay, so before that, because we took over the Crows, we now have a gambling den and an extortion racket, which means during downtime, we roll tier minus heat, and that's the number of coins we get. So I'm going to start for the gambling den. 0 bonus dice. So 5 minus, so we get no coin from that. Actually, how many heat do we have? God damn it. It might be useless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. So I'm just not going to roll, because no matter what I roll, we don't get any coin for this time.
Right.
It's the worst
Which is
trade
why I would
ever made.
recommend that you actually start, dealing with your heat.
Yep.
Damn. So yes, I would recommend that you start reducing heat immediately.
Sure.
Speaking of, I would like to do. Can I do downtime?
Sure.
wanna
I'd like
start?
to help reduce heat by spreading word around the brothels of just good morale and talking about Bowerstone and maybe the Stone Cloaks will actually do something about the people who shot at him, and just kind of like they were there during the thing, and remember that time he was on stage and they didn't do anything and he got shot the first time. Well, this time they chased him down, those Stone Cloaks. That type of stuff.
Yeah, nix the Stone Cloak. Totally.
Yep, that's
Well, Nick's
that's
kind
how
of a
we're.
blur.
Yeah.
He was kind of a blur.
Yeah.
But, so let me ask you this question: as you're reducing heat, what district are you doing this in?
I'm going to be doing this in Silkshore because word's spreading everywhere now. So I want to do it twice if that's possible.
You want to do it as two down?
Wherever I wanted to do it, wherever I have an establishment, which would be
Okay.
Silkshore and Brightstone, right? No, not Brightstone.
Silkshore and Crowsfoot.
Crows.
I thought it was Night Market. Was the other one?
It was Night Market.
Okay.
So those
So
two places is where she
The
would do
reason
it.
I ask is because the reference to the Stone Cloaks is going to fall on deaf ears outside of Crowsfoot right now.
But when they start hearing about it,
Okay.
because people
That's a
were
fair
there, people were there enjoying the new, the bar that we had obtained. Like they're working there, and people know that they work there. So
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because the girls go between.
No, that's a fair argument. So why don't you go ahead and start with your first roll? Again, no position, no.
You do get one bonus die for the roll.
What am I rolling?
So you're going to roll whatever your action is that you're using.
Consort.
If consort is what you want to use, then that's
Yeah.
fine. Unless you want to roll your cohorts, which would then be tier, which would actually, I believe, technically be higher right now than your.
My consort is 3.
Our tier is 4.
Okay,
Your
so
tier is 4.
how do I? Can you do that, Mike?
Yep.
And add the extra die.
Yep, and they get a bonus die.
See, GMs help too.
A 6.
Wow. Okay, so that is a reduction of 3 heat.
All right, so that
For
is
my.
down by 3. And you want to do it again with the ladies?
Yes,
Okay, and you get a bonus die.
and then I'm going to use a coin. To do
Crit.
the third
Shit.
action.
Oh
crit.
shit. Not only is that a crit, there's 3 6s in there. That just seems a little wasteful. But it would have cleared out a 6 would have cleared out the rest of your heat. So now you guys are down to a wanted level of 1 and no heat. Okay. So
There
you're
we
gonna
go,
spend some
guys.
coin.
I'm going to spend is 1 coin, right, for another action?
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta.
One coin a
It's
wrap.
two stash equals 1 coin though.
2 stash equals. Okay. So I am going to train in attune as I was attuning to Nye's spirit bottle.
Okay.
That's all. Gets me another pip, and I'm done.
Okay. Great. So that is 3 downtime actions for OC. Who wants to go next?
Steam.
Sure. I wanted to have Steam also train in attune, which will give him his 4th pip, which is nice.
Do you guys have the veteran upgrade or the
Yes.
okay, you do have the crew one. I just want to make sure because that's come up a couple of times.
Yep.
He's also going to train, since we Mike, we do have the 2
Yeah,
for
we
everything.
leveled up
now.
as a crew and we took training in insight and personal.
Excelente. So he is going to train in playbook advancement, and he is going to take Ghost Mind as well.
Okay.
I think all of that narratively can be explained with him attempting to help OC as they further try to identify Nye and just kind of lay the groundwork for what exactly is going on there and try to get a better understanding of the situation and just, getting a plan of attack. He's also going to spend 1 coin, and I would like to start a long-term project, and that is the training of my kids.
Do you have
All
enough
right,
money
so-
to raise all these kids?
Do I have enough money? Well, luckily I am the Crow, and we get a lot of money coming in from different sources. So, yeah, we're all right.
Okay, so wait a minute. Before we even get started with discussing whether it's feasibly possible, what is the ultimate goal of this particular project?
I believe last time we talked about them becoming my version of the homeless and
Essentially cohorts.
cohorts. Yeah.
Okay. So you want them trained in combat, is that correct?
Ideally and narratively, I'd want them trained in whatever helps them the most. But I think that it only makes sense to train them in combat at first, in like the lurky way of everything. Because even though OC is going to be helping, it kind of defeats the purpose for us to have a group. Because Johnny, you made the suggestion at one point they can become like cultists essentially at some point because they would be
Devoted to you.
Yeah, followers of mine. So, however that plays out, if you don't mind, I would like to not name what they're going to be quite yet. I'm not real sure which direction I want them to go. Like,
Absolutely. What I'm looking for is more trying to figure out how we'll explain this I am trying to determine the amount of segments to this particular progress clock and how difficult that's going to be, right?
okay,
if they are just going to be, you're just training them to be cohorts of some kinds, that's one thing. If there is a very specific role, and if you want to message me privately, we can. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out what's going to be fair in taking these children and basically making them, your badass little brood.
I'm going to say 8. And I'll message you later because 8 or 10. Because when I want these kids fired up, I want them to be more human than a human, so to speak.
Okay.
Which might not occur at all during the season, so it's
Okay.
just something he's working on.
All right, fair enough. So, how are you going to start their training?
Basically, it would be just getting them comfortable with the fact that as Steam, well, you know what? Can I like role play it for a second? Like, can we do? Okay. Well, every night since Sling has left the city, Steam will go to the top of the crow's nest and he will throw radiant plant ash into the air every night. Roughly the same time, but he does it every night. On one such night, he comes down, and in the first level, which would be kind of like his personal quarters or the quarters of the leader, as it was explained before, he's converted that into a dormitory with, beds enough for all the kids. And he looks around, and there are 15 kids ranging between 7 and 13, all Tycherosi, all with, some of them have the spines for hair. Some of them have like bony outridges. Some of them have spots, almost like a Dalmatian or a leopard in coloring. Some of them seem to blur a bit when they move. Some of them have, frost accumulating around their eyes. Just all of the indications and the demonic heritage of the Tycherosi. And when Steam comes down after throwing the radiant plant ash into the air, he says, "Why do we light the sky?" And a little hand goes up. "Yes, Zephyr. We light it for the sister." "That's right. We light it for the sister. Why else?" And all the hands go up. And he calls on a boy. "Clint, yes. We light it for all the sisters and all the brothers." "That's right. And why do we do this?" "To give them hope. If they see the light, they know there are others. And someday they will find their way home." And he looks around at the gathered children, and he says, "Whose turn is it tonight?" And the same little girl's hand goes up. "Zephyr, you have a decision. Take, give, or share." The little girl thinks for a second. "Give." "You would give your gift. Why?" "Yeah. The new girl, she seems sad." She is sad because she has no company, no companionship yet. No, I don't think you shall give. I think you shall share." And at this point, Steam looks over his shoulder, and Goat comes over. The dire pug, as he plods up beside him, and he casually puts his hand down on his sister's dog. "So, tonight you shall share. To bed, all of you. Zephyr, Zet, share your prize." And as Goat kind of looks up with a hunter's forlornness at his new role, Steve looks down at the dog and says, "You are their guardian. You are protecting the future. And the dog looks down and plods over and jumps in the bed of the two little girls and curls up beside them. And Steam goes to the edge and turns out the electroplasmic lights and descends. Something like that.
As you begin to descend, you see the judge again looking at you.
What do you want, old man?
As you acknowledge him, he begins to fade. But there's a look of puzzlement on his face. And a hint of approval.
Steam doesn't give two shits and continues down.
Okay. So, with that, I think you deserve 2 segments for the clock. You think that's good? Or do you want to roll it? Okay. So, do you want to do any other downtime actions? Do you want to spend any more coin? Okay. Nyx, Bowerstone.
Alderman?
Okay, so the first thing I want to do is acquire an asset. Specific asset I want to acquire is a spy from the Wraiths.
From who?
You want to acquire an asset.
Yes.
Given how busy the alderman is going to be, can you explain to me how the alderman is going to acquire an asset?
In the form of a letter to be delivered to an abandoned library in... I just lost the name of it. That'd be right. Let me grab that again. But essentially, he's going to be sending a letter to an address of a building that basically has been out of commission for a very long time.
Okay.
Would you like me to read the letter?
Sure.
So the letter reads, "My mentor and my brothers and sisters, now that I have become what I said I would, I am in need of help. Please send me one of my brethren. Do what you do best and help me find out what I need to know."
Okay, so given the tone of that letter, that sounds like a consort roll to me of some kind. Unless you want to make an argument for something else.
No, I'll go consort. I believe it has to be a tier roll, if I was reading it correctly. On how good, on what it is. Is that on how good?
No.
No? Am I reading something else?
Oh, you're absolutely right. It is queer. It is, or, sorry, it is a tier roll. I thought it was a skill roll. Okay, go ahead and roll tier then.
I got you. Any bonuses?
Does that bonus that you got apply, that you were talking about, that OC was using?
No, that bonus is strictly for reducing heat.
That is strictly for reducing.
It's part of slippery.
I don't know if for backstory reasons you want to give it a bonus.
No, because this is the first time you're actually revealing it. So
That's cool. All right.
do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
I've been enough shit. No, I'm all right.
Okay, fair enough.
2 6s.
So with a crit, that is a tier +2 in respect to the rating, quality. So it is right now a 6. Do you want to spend any coin to increase it?
Yes. Oh, bugger, I don't. Yeah, I will. Got some stash, so I'm going to spend coin on that.
How many coin are you going to spend? Because it's going to be 2 per tier level.
2
Sorry,
coin.
quality. So you're
2
going to
coin.
increase it to essentially a quality of 7.
7?
Two-
Oh, sorry. There we go. +1.
2
Got
coin
it.
per
Yep.
tier probably per quality level. So it's going to become
Got
a asset of 7.
Mhm.
Now, what specifically is this brethren going to be an expert in, or be, is there anything in the particular that this particular asset is going to do really well?
Information, or someone that is close by or knows things about the Council of Six. Knowing information about them. So maybe it is someone that handles their letters, someone that waits and serves for them.
So essentially somebody who's really good at observation or surveying or studying.
That would be correct.
Question?
Yep.
Do you think the Wraiths would have somebody that legitimately, do you think the Wraiths would have somebody who would be an expert in the Council of Six?
I believe so, but considering what their faction is built around, and they're built on information and thievery,
Okay.
I believe they would have information in there.
Okay, fair enough. All right, cool. So, so go ahead.
So they just write down what tier. It's tier +3.
Yeah.
Its quality
Tier.
level is quality 7. So
Yeah.
just that you will get 7 dice essentially in a roll where you use it, like for using information gathering or something like that. Okay. All right. So what do you want to do for your second downtime action?
So when we left off in season 2, Raymond constructed for OC a weapon. I want to not create, but enchant, I suppose is the word, my grappling hook to make it into a ghost field weapon. Essentially what I'm wanting to make is a grappling hook for the ghost field.
Do you mean like
Like a hook?
like
Like
the
a hook.
hook that they hook ghosts with?
Only a distance weapon? Like you can shoot it from a distance and hook somebody?
It's the retractable grappling hook.
Oh,
A retractable.
Right, but it's used specifically for moving quickly to different locations on a building. You are now turning it into a completely different weapon.
So if possible, like I'm just saying, if that is possible, unless I can construct a whole new tool.
I think you could research something potentially to do that, but I don't think that you've had any experience previously. So
I mean, because it was Nyx's blade and things like that we've been working on before.
No one's touched Nyx's blade.
No.
Which one was it? Was it OC's?
OC
was
has
OC.
the ability to fight ghosts.
OC's.
No, we
Right.
decided not to do it, remember?
Okay, so
Because
I'm
I
going to do
can-
some research then
okay,
and figure that out.
So you want to do a long-term
So I'll start
project?
Yep.
Okay.
Are you going to start the library?
Yeah. Thank you. Library. I'm sorry. Library. Library.
Okay.
Oh my
So it's going to be a 6-segment clock for this research.
Cool.
And this is researching essentially the plans, the blueprint for this.
Mhm.
How would you start this process?
It's a study. So I'm taking himself to the library away from everyone and finding out what information they have on this particular subject.
On weaponizing.
So blacksmithing or crafting, alchemy.
So I think given your background that you would have a fair bit of experience already with crafting that type of thing. So
Mhm.
it would be obvious to you immediately that the library does not have any information on this as well. There was a bit of precedence that was set last night. So if you were to go to say normal libraries, public institutions of any kind, or even go to the Charter Hall University Library, any references to this type of thing you would see a reference to something that indicated that it wasn't a part of the normal information. So what you would need to do, really? Did that really just happen?
Apparently, I like to go to the library.
Okay.
A crit for love.
No, it's library. Let's be clear about that. It's not for love. Okay, as a crit would be 5, right? So clearing through all of this, I'm going to narrate a little bit of what would happen, and then you can tell me how Bowerstone would react to all of this.
Yep.
Well, and again, before you get started, I have to ask you this question. In those 2 weeks, you are essentially the hero of Doskoval. You are the city politician. How do you get out and away from all of this in order to do this research?
So it would be during when everyone's sleeping, because when he goes home, he's not sleeping. He's not really grabbing a wink. So his idea is while everyone is sleeping, he sneaks out and slips away when he can.
Okay. And that means that you're not that Bowerstone is not sleeping at all. He's not getting any rest.
It's probably something we're going to have to figure out soon. He probably passes out from exhaustion.
Which makes the nightmare so much worse.
Yeah.
Which makes the nightmare so much worse. So,
Season 3, great start.
10 out of 10.
Given that description, okay, so given that description, when we enter the next score, you're going to automatically take a level 1 harm. And call it exhausted.
Yep.
Okay. Just given that description, I think that's a fair way to handle that after 2 weeks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. So you sneak out, you start looking for references, you find 0 references in the public institutions. So you head to Charter Hall University and its library. You find a couple of references, stuff that really doesn't make sense to you. Because every time you get more information than just this is the fundamentals of how electroplasm works, and this is the fundamentals of the spark right technology that surrounds the combination of supernatural and science. You find references to something called not available in Archive 101. Not available in Archive 101. Go to Archive 101. And after doing a fair bit of research and having a little bit of a conversation with Nyx, you discovered that the Archive of Echoes is what Archive 101 is referenced in any of the institution, any reference at the Charter Hall University, whether it's the library and any part of the institution. Reference to Archive 101 is the essentially the reference number and information indicating the Archive of Echoes. And so every attempt that you try to make to sneak in is thwarted. It is an incredibly secure building. I have a quick question for Nyx, because this will help with the next part of the narrative on this. Do you return to the Archive of Echoes?
Absolutely.
At any given time?
Yeah. It's part of his downtime. He'll be returning.
Okay. So, frustrated in your state of exhaustion, you find yourself looking at Nyx making his way towards and into the building at some point, and you were able to follow him inside. And we'll continue this during his downtime. All right, so that's your second downtime action.
Yeah, and that will complete it.
Okay, great. All right, Nyx, you're up.
Sweet. So inside the Path of Echoes.
So that's your first downtime action.
Yeah,
so
we can go ahead and continue that.
You're going to continue. All right, so give me just a second as I establish this. Shit, what did I do? Sorry, what happened? No.
Way to go.
Okay. Yeah, I know, I screwed it up. Whatever. what are you doing when you get to the Archive of Echoes?
So previously, I had visited Crazy Pendrin and discovered some things about the two ghosts that follow him. And in doing so, I've gained entrance to the Path of Echoes and can freely kind of come and go as a student of the Path of Echoes or initiate, but I haven't actually been inducted into their pseudo-scientific cult. So he is going there. He's going there to research. Man, I'm trying to think of how to progress my entrance to the Path of Echoes.
Well, why don't you focus on what your ultimate goal is, which you mentioned to me privately. What is the next logical step into that ultimate goal?
I mean, the ultimate goal is researching the creation process behind hulls or hollows.
Those are two very different things.
Yes.
So which are you going to pursue first?
Hollows.
Okay. So are you going to study that?
Yeah.
Is it the kind of thing where you're going to consort?
No, I think he's going to study. He's not an academic type, but he also doesn't know anyone besides Pendrin, and he's kind of a loon. So he doesn't want to ask him too many questions, especially knowing who the ghosts are that follow him around and what they want from Nyx. So okay. I think he would attempt to study the ritual to create a hollow.
All right. So I'm going to ask you another leading question in respect to whether it's a consort or study or are you sure you're not going to consult with any of these spirits, given your ability to now attune and be very perceptive about the spirits around you?
So that is a question for you then.
Okay.
So I know this place is literally swimming with spirits.
Absolutely.
Is there like a librarian or a custodian, or is it like, are the ghosts the pseudo employees that work here? Like, who would Nyx ask for like a Dewey Decimal System of ghosts?
So there's no one person that you would see as an expert. You do see as a librarian in that sense. You do, upon entering and going downstairs to the library, the first underground floor of the library section, you do see a couple of other living and breathing people consulting. There's a number of reference books, and there's also a series of drawer cabinets that have essentially the index card reference for various bits of information, right? So there is a logical reference system that follows in the same way that a normal library, right? So it would be immediately obvious that you could go and consult a book and then you decide, okay, I want to look at this particular section if I'm tracking this down, right? So there is essentially an index, and then there are the very specific, references that you would then be able to go off and find in the library. It would be like no question whatsoever that would be an obvious way to start. You also see that there are a fair bit of spirits that are interacting with each other and occasionally interacting with the living and talking about references or research or what have you. There is one individual, the woman who works the desk at the top, who will come down and occasionally work with a ghost to find a particular book and get them started to a particular page, because it is much difficulty for the most part for these spirits to actually interact with the books. Carrying a book would be very difficult. Turning a page is a challenge, but does happen.
Okay, so in that case, knowing that, Nyx would go to Pendrin in his stacks of papers and books and array of inkwells, and as he walks over, he just puts like a hand up to like, simmer down, crazy pants. And he attunes. I assume he attunes every time he walks in this place.
Okay.
But he kind of puts a hand up to stop him from whatever he's about to mumble, and he looks directly to Professor Ghost, Nicholas's teacher, and he's going to ask him You were a professor at one point. You taught the boy, and he motions towards Penderin, everything he knows. Now, if I wanted to create a hollow, where would I go?
You're addressing the ghost directly and not at all addressing Penderin at all.
No, he actually kind of like put his hand up to like, hey, this is not you.
Okay.
Because usually when Penderin talks, he gets all addled when everyone's whispering. So rather than go through the medium, he just spoke directly to the ghost.
So Penderin stops his furious scribbling and reference of a book and just kind of looks at you. And you can see that his eyes are kind of darting around, and he's got that crazy sort of intense look. And as you're attuned, you notice that, of course, the woman stands behind his left shoulder, and the professor, what you assume is Penderin's mother.
Yes.
Penderin's mother stands behind the left shoulder, and the professor stands behind his right shoulder, constantly whispering into Lord Penderin's ears. And as Lord Penderin looks up at you, the furious whispering by the professor stops. And he looks at you. And he says, "Why?" And he looks over at the woman really quickly and looks back at you. And you can see that his spirit, the shape of his spirit is very agitated. It's vibrating, as if he's holding in just a tremendous amount of kinetic or some sort of energy that's just causing his form to go from him speaking and to completely stop. He goes from in focus to vibrating. And finally he says, "Why would you want to know that?"
It appears as though there are an entire city full of restless spirits meandering around. And there are things that I would like to know. In fact, a friend of mine has a spirit that needs a home, and it's better than a machine.
There are risks.
There are risks in everything we do.
There are risks. And he starts to move, and you can see that his mouth wants to start speaking again. There are many risks, and you can see that his mannerisms influence Lord Penderin, because as he is trying to answer you, and he is just having this, you can see for the first time that Penderin's disposition is relaxed, and that his eyes are looking straight at you. And the spirit, I can you help him? And he starts to talk again as he kind of begins to speak into the right ear of Lord Penderin, and the vibrating craziness, the disposition changes. And Penderin begins to kind of start to scribble again and look back down as the woman steps forward. And for the first time, you really hear her voice. And she says, "There are as many risks to the soul as there are to the body. It doesn't work most of the time. Are you sure?"
Yes, I'm looking for the times where it does work.
Arrogance is not needed here. We can show you the right way.
But
it comes at a cost.
what kind of cost?
The cost of life. Another body. Another soul must join us. It's not as simple as you think.
A soul must join it in what way?
When the spirit leaves the body, the mortal coil, and joins whatever it is, this existence that we have that we are now damned and destined to deal with, if it is not butchered by those things that call themselves the wardens, there is a natural order to things, and the body begins to decay. To prepare a vessel to accept a soul, you must catch it before death. And that spirit, that thing that gives its life, its existence, must be removed. So you are damning one at the expense of another.
What if the soul in question was extracted and bottled?
What difference does that make?
Could it be put back in another hollow? Or a hull?
Holes are easy. And she begins to rattle off an equation as you see her fall into something where, as she's beginning to motion and she's talking about something, and behind her you can see that there is a chalkboard image in her mind that she is projecting, and you begin to see, and you see a diagram of a hull, and you see her kind of notating different aspects of this, and you see a scientific formula, an equation that represents the right amount of energy that is required to be transferred into the hull in order to give it, the ability to move, give it locomotion. And then there's another amount of energy that is required, and then an equation of how much time how fresh a soul must be in order to be put into a hull to have consciousness, right? And she starts to give this lecture, and all of this information is sort of like conveyed to you very quickly. It's almost like being in the Matrix, or it's like being in a chair about to go into the Matrix. All this information just kind of floods into you, but you relive it. It's a memory of her lecture as it just kind of floods into you. And you realize that this is her way of sharing the information with you, and that there is some similarity to this as to what the professor is doing to Lord Pendrin, except that when he does it, or how he's doing it, or the volume of information that's being conveyed is overwhelming Lord Pendrin. And so as you come back, she finishes this lecture, this conveyance of information very quickly. And now you have a basic understanding in your head of how to make a whole.
He asks her, I guess, one final question before going off to find what exactly he was looking for. If there is a willing participant, can the ritual for a hollow be performed on a living target?
I thought I made it obvious that was what you needed to do.
And the soul can quickly be removed and placed somewhere else.
The body has a short time before it becomes incapable of accepting, and then disastrous things begin to occur.
Interesting.
And again, she hesitates and begins to pull back. and begins to give you another lecture. And in that lecture, she begins to talk about the hulls and how they are very different than hollows, which was discovered by accident based on ancient texts of rituals that involved infusing a dead body with a soul. But it created monstrosities. If the body was allowed to die before and prepared in a particular way, then when a soul was infused with it, when it joined with it, it became this monster, this thing that needed to continue to feed as angry spirits, hungry spirits do, even though it was encompassed in flesh.
Nyx pays incredibly close attention to that.
And so that information begins to get conveyed, and you realize that she is conveying you the information about the creation of the entities or the physical beings that are known as vampires.
He takes good care on that one.
Well, again, all of this information is really just kind of pushed into your brain, and you're just having the experience of it playing out, but all of this happens in almost an instant.
Mm-hmm.
But as a part of that also, she conveys that the short amount of time that between the removal of the spirit and the body actually dying is the window of opportunity for allowing another spirit to possess and then eventually permanently live and return to, essentially almost resurrection in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
There are some differences, but it is the concept is essentially the mechanical equivalent of resurrection.
Yeah. This was mostly a ruse to get them to explain how to become a vampire.
Absolutely.
So he doesn't really care about the spirit entering a hollow. He cares about what happens after you make a hollow and how long you need to let it die before you push a new spirit back into it.
So the body. So it's the key points about the information that you're going to get out of this, in respect to the mechanical elements about the ritual, involve the duration of death before rotting or rigor mortis sets in, or special preparation using chemicals and magics, spectral energy that can be infused in the body to preserve it longer until that creation actually happens.
Okay. Is this a new clock, or is this the Stir of Echoes clock?
This is the Stir of Echoes clock gains you 4 segments because of the amount of information that you asked and who you were asking. Right? But if you had done the research, it would have gone a little bit different. But that's why I specifically led you down that direction.
So I'll tell you what, because I gained all kinds of information that I want, I was going to spend a crit to roll that and knock out the rest of the clock.
Nope.
No?
You don't need to.
Oh. But there's still 2 more pips.
There are still 2 more pips. There's a last bit of information. Do you want to push her for the last bit of that information?
Yeah. You want me to roll for that?
Sure. What are you going to do this time? Because she essentially conveyed you a shit ton of information about the mechanical elements of holes and hollows and vampires.
Man, I don't know. I would obviously try to consort with her and the professor. Leaning on the fact, you know what, I'm going to play to her sensibilities. Leaning on the fact that her son was researching ancient hull technology about that, and he would need to get these spirits from somewhere. And if he's not turning the corpses he's getting into hollows, then he's just going out and killing. And that this may aid in finding him. So what other things could he be using these bodies for and these spirits for besides experimentation with hulls?
Right. So let me be clear about this. She asked you for help some previous time for you to find Nicholas Pendrin.
Mm-hmm.
You, in response, are coming back, attempting to learn about the creation of vampires. That's your ultimate goal.
Yep.
And to get the last bits of information that she's looking for, you're going to convince her that her son is doing nefarious deeds.
No, he is actively looking for. He's actively researching hulls. That is not a falsehood. But he has to get the spirits somewhere.
But you are implying that he is accomplishing this through murder.
You make a fair point.
I just want to be clear about this.
You make a fair point.
I just want to be clear about this.
All right. Yeah, I'll leave it. I'll leave that one for later. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
So that's one of my downtime actions.
All right.
Do I see Bowerstone wandering in like a creep?
You do see Bowerstone trying to sneak in behind you. And at that point, after you are done, you're able to walk over to him as nobody seems to care because they saw him come in with you.
He just looks at you.
Nix. Hey. You okay?
I'm great.
It's been a week, hasn't it?
It's been some
Week?
time. Why are you here?
5 days? How many days?
Why? Shut up. Why are you here?
I'm looking for Archive 101. You know the one, right? It's in here?
I am aware.
You're in here. You can take me to it, right? Just take me to it.
Why?
Come on. Because I fucking said so. Take me to it. And then I can leave. Okay.
I'll tell you what. You have two options. You may tell me exactly why you need to know where Archive 101 is, and I will bring you to it. Option number 2 is I walk up those stairs there and let you wander the labyrinthian catacombs for the rest of your days until no one finds your corpse, or I kill you, as that is the only person here, and leave you to join the Sea of Spirits. Why did you follow me, and what do you want? Stop doing that with your face.
Shh! Shut up! I need to find a book.
You're in a library.
Yes, I know I'm in a library. I'm looking for a specific book.
It is called...
He pulls it out. The 101. These are the books. Located here, not in the other library. I need it now. Nix, I need it now, please.
Why do you need a spirit hook?
Things at home ain't great.
It would be quicker to just kill a whisper and take theirs.
I'm not killing anyone yet. Not yet. Not until I get some sleep.
This way.
Nix,
And he begins leading you towards it. And Nix will lead him towards the wherever he needs to go to find this book.
So subsequently, you find a bunch of information about the creation of lightning hooks and the adapting of them to very particular tools that are not the normal hook. It is mentioned repeatedly throughout all of this that most experiments actually fail and have ended with, among other things, the hooking of the individual, the hooking of anybody helping the individual, the tearing of the fabric of the ghost field, the creation of spirit wells, and the subsequent closing of spirit wells. And those are the only ones that are recorded. There are rumors of other things indicated. There are a number of warnings. But however, given everything that you acquire from this information, you have the majority of your needs in acquiring this particular blueprint. The only thing left is you need the actual parts in order to facilitate the construction, or essentially facilitate the construction of the device. and it mentions a couple of very particular things that would be hard for you to acquire without being a spark right.
So there's more complications, of course. Thank you, Nix. I'm on my way now.
The line here about tearing a hole in the fabric of the ghost field, don't do that.
Jokes, yes.
No, I've done it several dozen times. It's not great.
I'm sure it's not. I don't care right now. I make sure the team is fine and everything will be fine.
This is the last warning you get. Don't tear a hole. If you think your parents dead in your house is the worst of your problems, it will only get exponentially
My parents
terrifying.
are of no concern to you, and if you bring them up again...
Labyrinthian catacombs.
Sorry.
This way. And he begins to lead the crazed Bowerstone out of the Path of Echoes.
Okay. So that is the culmination of that downtime for Bowerstone, and that was Nix's first downtime action.
Yep.
What would you like to do with your second one?
My additional one is I'm going to also acquire an asset to find Lady Rowan.
You want the piece of information of where she is.
Yes.
Okay. That would be easily acquired through your rooks. She has not left the estate.
Okay, then I will consort with my rooks to get that information. Because
Okay.
I know she had a representative in the council, and then one of her boats left. So I assume she left.
One of her boats left. She also, her representative was not there at the Council of Six.
Right.
During the events after the Leviathan showed up.
Okay, so that will be a second down action, is to acquire that knowledge.
You would be able to. Okay, so you would probably acquire that information easily through your rooks. So I wouldn't suggest that be your second downtime action, but you actually still have 2 left. So
Okay, then I guess this would also be an asset. I want as much information, schedule, patrol, whatever I can find. This might be a long-term project of the guards, cabbies, and gondoliers guarding that Leviathan.
wow. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a 4-segment clock.
Okay.
It's not gonna be too terribly difficult because everybody's doing it in the open, but in order to acquire all of that information, it would definitely be a 4-segment clock.
Okay. To do so, I'm going to leverage the fact that we have a friend in the cabbies. We have a +1 with them at least, and I have a spy in the Imperial Guard if he's around.
You do, and he would be. We said he was a sergeant now.
He
or
is a
was
sergeant
private?
now. Yep, he is a sergeant
yeah.
now. So
So
I will.
both of those- so each of those are going to give you a +1 die.
Okay, so I'm going to consort with that situation
Okay.
to talk to these people. The only people I don't have contact in is the gondoliers. So 2 and a +2.
Yep, roll it.
Shit.
Wow.
A 3.
Well, so much for those crits.
Yep. We were killing them for a minute there.
So the cabbies can give you a bunch of information about the goings to and fro. They're being facilitated to help bring in not only the exchange of the guard, because there's not enough carriages and goats and resources that the Imperials have right now, the Imperial Army has right now, to be able to facilitate all of the activity, including ferrying people or ferrying the soldiers to and from, ferrying essentially workers from Coleridge who work to pare the Leviathan parts down to a usable form for transportation, and subsequently being processed, and the actual parts themselves. There is a fair amount of manpower that is being used in respect to the soldiers to guard each of those caravans to and from from Oncout Park back to Coleridge for processing, and then when they're dropped off, those same patrols are moving back towards Oncout Park to make sure that the supply line never ceases. It's something that goes on at all hours of the day. It just continues back and forth.
Okay.
So you get that schedule of information.
Yep.
Or you get that information and you get the schedule of they change every 8 hours on shift.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
And then because I'm feeling generous and I'm curious to see where the hell this goes, Steam, have a free downtime for your weird little brood.
I was just gonna say, are you sure you don't want to work on your own personal one? Because I'm kind of curious to see where that one was gonna go. I was gonna say I was gonna assist you with some coin if you needed it for the clock.
For which one?
The one you're just working on.
Oh, the schedules one?
Yeah, I like that.
All right. So yeah, I will spend my third one to grease some palms with the gondoliers.
Okay.
We have a few contacts in the Lamp Blacks. They're on. No? Okay. I thought we did.
Well, you do, but
but we haven't talked to them in a minute.
yeah. So that conversation would be fun.
Yeah. I don't know if are the Lamp Blacks and the gondoliers. Do I know that are they allies at all? I know they smuggled shit, but I don't remember.
You would know that they have a relationship, yes.
Okay, because I know they have like a relationship with whatever the hell the Changletown is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think going through his contacts in the Lamp Blacks. He hasn't seen them in a little bit. But he did make good on his promise in the fact that the crows and the red sashes are dead. He's going to request their aid in speaking to the gondoliers. See if they can get him an in to get more information about these schedules.
So we're calling that a consort then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, consort.
All right. Let me roll this shit first.
Are you sure? Now I'm gonna be very, 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 very clear about this. Are you sure you don't want to take a devil's bargain or a push yourself?
You know what? It's season 3 and Nick's hasn't had one in a good minute. What's the bargain?
Okay, I'm gonna throw it out to the table that you guys are more than welcome to throw this in. The devil's bargain would be that the Lamp Blacks, given your previous relationship, give you this information. However, they are offended that they weren't involved because the rumors have been flying that you have been seen at the side of the aldermen and that you had some involvement in both the crows falling and the red sashes situation, that you didn't, since you did not include them in the taking down of the crows or of the red sashes, that you are now going to be on bad terms, and that this will be the ceasing of that relationship, and you will be there. That there will be open conflict with you.
Anyone else have suggestions?
So, Nix, do you want to lead the Lamp Blacks?
No. Nick has no interest.
Since we're divvying up the groups, I figure it would only be fair.
He has no interest in leading any of those people. Does anyone have any other ideas for Devil's Bargains?
No, maybe
Which-
something about your past gets revealed?
Which groups, like with the Lamp Blacks, have anything to do? I'm trying to think all these ghosts that are following you, if someone took note and maybe alerted the wardens or alerted someone or...
Alerted the Leviathan hunters.
Yeah.
Wait, so hold on,
That's
I got a
fucked
question
up,
about
Greg.
that. I like the idea. I want to know why the Leviathan hunters came up.
Because he's sniffing.
His past.
That was the North Hook. Had nothing to do with the Leviathan hunters.
Okay.
The North Leviathan hunters.
Yeah, but what's the relationship between the hunters and the North Company?
The North Hook Company has nothing to do with the Leviathan trade officially. They are all about the transportation of goods between the major
Goods.
ports
Officially.
Okay.
officially.
Goods. So yeah, maybe that. Narratively, it would make sense because he's sniffing around the Leviathan hunters trying to find their schedules. Maybe they're like, "Huh, that's a lot of ghosts following one person."
There's that.
And there's at least one. There's at least one whisper in the Lampblacks.
There is at least one whisper in the Lampblacks. I like that one too. Anybody else?
Fuck you, Craig.
Do it, Greg.
I think that's it.
Okay. Which one do you want to take?
I'll take the latter,
You'll take the one where somebody notices.
where someone rats me out. We keep our relationship with the Lampblacks, but someone dimes me out.
Okay.
Also, since Nyx's drunken episodes, he's been wearing the hook outwardly.
Yep. You've also been exposing the blade outwardly too.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Okay.
he's not super concerned with that because he thinks it's badass. But the hook,
Yeah, that's
the hook is an identifying feature.
absolutely. Okay. So, all right. So take an additional die.
Okay.
Do you want to push yourself?
And yeah, I'm gonna. What is it? 2 stress for a push.
2 stress.
Alrighty. Let me give 2 stress, and I'll push myself for a 5.
For a 5. Damn. All right. So the next time again you do this, you will complete this. Okay. So you find out a fair bit of information about the efforts to protect the Leviathan.
Actually, you know what? Fuck it, Johnny. I'm gonna spend I'm gonna spend a coin and finish it.
Just complete it.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
hate loose ends.
Fine.
I was going to say, I'll go in if you want me to.
Nah, I got it.
He's secretly been hoarding all of the coin. I don't know if you guys realize
It's
that.
not true.
Yeah.
I give it out all the time.
Whenever there's an odd number, that's weird. How did I get that?
That's really strange. Okay.
What?
So, fair bits of information that you get out of this. Not only so the gondoliers are doing a lot of security on the water. Interesting phenomena is happening around the Leviathan. There appear to be a great number of eels around the tentacles that are still kind of dangling and floating into the water, and there appears to be almost a feeding frenzy among the eels that are consuming. Like they're continuing to just come out and consume off of these tentacles, and tentacles are beginning to kind of vanish into the water as the consumption continues, as the part begins to kind of float down. Other than that, there have been a couple of attempts at theft of Leviathan parts by whatever means, and between the gondoliers and the bluecoats and the Imperial Army, they have all turned away attempts. So the security tends to operate in the same capacity. They're not stationary; they're patrolling those waters, and those shifts happen to be running every 8 hours. But there are gaps between patrols of about a minute in certain places where you could slip through if you needed to. But they are considered non-starters by the gondoliers who are patrolling, because there's a bit of effort that's required to get from the canal side up onto Onkyot Park at those particular positions. There are no stairs, there are no landings. It's like a sheer cliff of 20 feet. The Imperial Army and Bluecoats stationed around the actual physical carcass at the entrances to Onkyot Park from places like the Radiant Energy Farm, if you're looking at the map, and I'll turn you guys over to the map now. So, wrong map. Hold on just a second. Sorry, guys. Because we're using the good map. So, from Onkyot Park and the Radiant Energy Farms, this bridge is a staging point. It's mostly collapsed. but there's still a staging point on this side where there's essentially blue coats and Imperial soldiers. This bridge is completely closed off, and a good section of Silk Shore right here is being occupied as, essentially a staging area and housing for soldiers. And those entry points essentially are very locked down. Guards there are also on an 8-hour schedule. There are a number of gaps on this bridge, though, in respect to patrolling and monitoring, because the perimeter is actually inside of Silk Shore itself.
Okay.
And the one other thing, based on one of your crew assets, there is actually a series of tunnels under Onkyot Park. And based on your observation, they are not being patrolled at all.
Okay.
All right, so that's the completion of that project.
Cool. That's it for me.
And with that, we exit downtime. And we go into free play. To which, through the nefarious ways and means, Nyx receives a correspondence in return from Beverly Chandler. And in short, it says, "Thank you. We'll deal with the Mr. Wolf situation appropriately. Should you need my services, I will be happy to meet for a consultation. I have not seen Nicholas Penderin in 3 weeks. He was last seen by me talking about the Lost District."
Fuck you, Johnny. Okay. Does that math add up?
Yes.
A week before the election.
A week before the election, which happened well after the circumstances.
Yeah, that was well after I thought he was missing.
Yes.
Okay, so she's seen him since he's been missing.
Yes.
Okay. That's why I wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any news for OC?
I thought you were asking me. I was like, no.
So that was specifically in response to the letter that he sent. Are you asking me the leading question in respect to your looks?
In respect to the general that told me he was going to get back to me in the next few days, and it's now been like 3 weeks.
So correspondence you've had with him indicates that that has been sidelined for the moment, as Eruvians, the coordination of the Eruvian refugees that were already coming in has taken higher precedence. But that he will send you word as soon as this decision is made. Clearly, and he indicates clearly Crowsfoot is in good hands at the moment, is what he implies.
I would ask that he defer to me until then.
You
to
don't
direct
get a
the
response.
sashes.
You don't get a response after that.
Well, guys, I guess we got to kill an Eruvian general. He's being a real dick.
It would not be unheard of that you would not get an immediate response to something like that, given the implication that the Eruvians the refugees that were coming in from Udwasha and Eruvia were taking precedence for him. So
Yeah, she would make it a point during those 2 weeks to show face at the school and train with some of the, younger people.
not a lot of training is going on right now, as there's a fair bit of effort to take anyone with any type of skilled labor and have them work the docks in some way, shape, or form. So a lot of the places that you would normally expect to see people that are in respect to skills or trades, they're being commandeered, and with lots of pay essentially coming from the noble houses.
Even
for their
kids?
skill set. Not kids.
I'm talking about the students at the school.
Right, but so anybody with any particular skill set, and these students have some level of skill in respect to the ability to handle themselves in a combat situation. So they're being paid to essentially guard.
Okay.
In the same way that much of Crow's Foot is experiencing essentially not an economic boom is probably not the right word, but there's a lot of coin flowing into Crow's Foot through the docks because Crow's Foot is essentially lower, lower middle class or even lower, essentially the low class. So their unskilled and skilled labor are being utilized in the docks.
Okay.
So the only places that are really populated and busy tend to be any place where a device can be involved in any way, shape, or form, because there's a lot of stress going on.
Okay. What do you guys think?
So are we meeting somewhere?
I guess 2 weeks later.
Starwipe. Are we meeting at Eden, the Gallows Respite, or the Barge?
I like to think we're all going through some shit, and we would meet at the bar.
That's not a bad idea.
Nix is
Maybe in the
fine.
back room, like a private back room,
Nix is doing great. You guys
Sure
are
you
losing
are,
your
you
shit.
I'm perfect.
I'm a god.
Other than seeing a little old wizard every once in a while.
Well,
Is that what the
well,
kids are calling it
you
these
know.
days?
Yeah, so we meet in Crow's Foot in the Gallows Respite. I think Nix is the least fucked up. I think he would go. He would probably just be there, conveniently, when everyone else arrives.
So Raymond would probably be the next one. Looking very sleep deprived, black rings under the eyes, just
Flanked by stone cloaks.
yeah. You guys wait outside. 5 minutes. Can't take a shit without you guys needing to wipe my ass. Nix, mate.
As he starts whining, Nix nods to the stone cloaks.
Get a drink.
I believe you forget whom works for whom. Get your own.
OC will walk in, grab a few drinks, and bring them to the back, where we have a table, like in a different room, I'm assuming, where we usually meet up.
Where is Steam? I need to speak to Steam.
I'm not
Isn't
his
it-
keeper. He'll be here shortly.
I'm just asking if anyone has seen him.
Do
He's
we
in
ever
the-
see him?
He's in the corner.
Existing.
Right on time.
You.
He's been rather lippy for several weeks now.
I can hear, Raymond, what you need.
You've taught me wrong. You taught me to slip in, not be trapped.
Trapped.
I'm trapped in this bloody field. I can't shut it off.
What the hell are you talking about, Raymond? Can I attune to see if I can notice it?
Can I also attune? Just to sneak a peek?
To see if this is in his head or if it even appears or registers to us.
Okay, well, wait a minute.
So Nix was
The-
attuned the entire time we were inside the library, and he didn't see shit.
Yeah, but you haven't said that.
Well,
I
no,
was
he
attuned.
did say he was attuned at the library the entire time.
No,
This
I
is
meant
the-
just in our conversation, we wouldn't know that you didn't see anything.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
but if there was something that was going on, it would have been somewhat obvious.
There was
to-
someone following him, messing with him. Yeah. Nix would have
Enjoy
seen
your
that.
stay.
So, in the same way that Penderin was dealing with the professor over his right shoulder, there's somebody talking to you. Okay. I think that both OC and Steam wouldn't have to attune. I think they've got enough experience in the ghost field that something would be obvious that they would eventually phase in essentially and see what's going on. So no rolls necessary.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say this is a GM question for you, Johnny. I have Ghost Mind, which gives me I'm always aware of supernatural entities.
Oh yeah, that again, you would be triggered immediately
as soon as he walks in. Does Bowerstone trigger it, or do I sense?
That's up to Raymond. Raymond, you need to. I guess it's time for you to explain what's going on.
Actually, Steam, have you seen My Friends?
I just got this, so
because you would be losing your fucking mind as soon as you walk in the bar. The bar is full of ghosts. There are dozens and dozens of spirits filling.
When I attune for Bowerstone, I'd probably notice as well.
So the way that the spirits work for the flotilla is a little bit different. In that it's not necessarily that you would notice them immediately unless Nyx acknowledges them, because they're a result partially of the tear. The tear
Steam
would be obvious. Steam would. Well, both of them would. It's just it wouldn't be the kind of thing that would be obvious that they're connected with Nyx immediately.
It's just like a Duskfall thing, yeah.
Exactly, right.
Except at just an incredibly high concentration right here.
You would eventually see some of them try to interact or engage or take real notice of what Nyx is doing. But it would also be obvious that there is a tear that is following Nyx.
Can I see anything specifically talking to or pestering Raymond? I'm waiting for an answer from him.
This is a perfect opportunity for you to just lay it out for us.
So over Raymond's right shoulder, you would see a tall man dressed in the coat that in the start of season 1, episode 1 that Raymond was wearing, looking at him in disapproval and looking at everyone in disapproval down his nose like you're all peasants. And behind him is a woman cradling a small child, and the child is always crying, always wailing, like one of those piercing ones that you just want the kid to shut up. But she seems to do nothing as she just looks upon the rest of you. Raymond. Lowly people. I thought better of you. Yes, and he became alderman as well and still hangs with these ruffians. You know what these people have done. I've told you. Sorry. These are my parents.
Steam moves closer to OC and stands shoulder to shoulder with her, and he turns a bit so the hood kind of encompasses them both, and he says, I believe we have broken our Bowerstone.
Peculiar. Should I talk to them?
No.
Unfortunate.
Unless you want them aware of us.
But was that what was in this house, you think? With all the screaming and the hubbub?
Probably.
We'll revisit this.
Put a pin in it.
He doesn't look like he's slept in a while. I love that we're just talking about you and you're right in front of us.
Do you have that
we're being very
conversation
quiet.
in front of him?
Huh? What?
At the door, like he can't hear us because he's like yelling at his parents.
Raymond, pop a posture. Come on. Yeah.
May I ask how it happened? Talking to Bowerstone.
How? Well, Speak up, Raymond. Oh, thank you, Father. We were called in. After the lightning, we were called in, the council, all the aldermen, we were called in. And they wanted to escort us out of the city. But I couldn't. I couldn't leave you all behind. I tried to slip into the ghost field, like Mentor taught me, and I can't slip out. It's a struggle to stay like this.
She's gonna look to Steam. You know better than I.
I do not know this.
What do you mean you don't know? You taught me.
We will find someone. Okay?
You taught me how to sit down, Raymond. You do not raise your voice at a lady. Yes, Father?
Raymond, we will figure this out. It might take time, though.
Time.
Raymond.
I've lost track of time.
Raymond, what happens when you sleep?
Sleep. Sleep. I've lost the feeling of sleep. To know what it feels refreshed.
When is the last time you slept, Raymond?
Try. I fall from exhaustion. Screams. The guilt.
In the field?
I have to maintain awake just to stay like this. I use all my energy every day to stay as alderman for the people. And then I have to go home and be with my loving family, which I am very happy I have been reconnected with.
There are places where you can sleep where they cannot approach you.
Would you be able to hear? You'd be able to hear them behind me.
I hear them.
Oh, no.
We both hear them. Yeah, we all do.
Raymond stays at home. We're a family. Isn't that right, Raymond? Yes, Father. Stay at home where it's safe and where we can be a family.
She's gonna look to Steam, lean into his ear, and we'll get him somewhere. And then just lean back so that the two behind him can't hear. 3.
Nyx is on the other side of the other side of the room, and he turns around holding a glass in his hand and tosses a bottle towards OC, and just looks to the room and says, "He's building a hook, or attempting to, in whatever addled state he's in. It's probably the most dangerous thing he's done, and that's saying something."
She's staring at you. What have you been up to, Nyx?
A little of this, a little of that. I've done a lot of reading lately. I went to the library. And I spoke to a few friends.
I suppose you heard what happened to the sisters.
Yes, I did. Keep your friends away from the hook.
What happened with the sisters?
I don't have her.
No, but if you do, keep her away from the hook. It's far more dangerous than anything we've encountered before. And he looks towards Steam.
The sisters, we could not come to an agreement. They were using me.
Yeah?
The whole time. For what I still don't know. But I did learn quite a bit of information about Nye's past, about Caius, Magdalene. And would we know about Caius?
I do. I knew that he was killed.
Would you have told us?
You would know that he has not been seen, and yes, you would. Greg would, or Steam would know that.
You dodged the bullet on that one, Nyx.
Yes, he did. What?
What happened with the sisters? These voices.
She's just shaking her head. They're gone,
Gone?
along with their house.
Gone. All gone.
Gone.
No longer have any control over you.
She's going to go over and put her arm on his shoulder.
How did the
You
ghost
need-
react when she does that?
Oh, disgusted.
That's kind of what she's going for.
Hands off my son, please. Lucy, please. Just. Thank you. This. You are a friend. This. Just proper etiquette. Not in front of everyone.
Gross.
How long ago did they die?
Oh, many years. Raymond was just a boy. 8 years old. Still hasn't grown up.
Steam
She's
starts
a-
to walk forward. And as he walks forward, he reaches into his shirt and he pulls out his Spirit Bane charm. And as it starts to flare, I'm assuming when he gets close enough to the Bowerstones, he wants to take it off and he wants to touch it to Raymond.
What effect would this have? Like, what
What are you
is...
expecting to happen? Yeah, that's the question. What are you expecting to happen?
Well, if he is, his natural resting state is the field, that would make him, by definition, a spirit. I'm seeing if this hurts him. Because a Spirit Bane charm would, it's like a cross, to my understanding, it's a crucifix to a vampire. He would pull back from it, or it would do some symbolic smoking and stuff, but
I'm gonna let Slade determine that. Bowerstone, what happens?
As they go. And the garage. As
So
this,
immersive.
as this grinding comes off Raymond. It would burn. As it gets near him, it's like someone with a hot iron just approaching this heat. And his hand almost retracts. It's mental. Oh, look, they're hurting our son now.
Your parents would be backing off too,
Hmm.
and it would be.
Do you mind
obvious
putting that away, sir? Especially in front of my wife and child?
Great, you're muted. I'm sure it sounded great, though.
it was awesome.
Sure,
It was
really
the best
cool.
thing I've ever said. He turns back to OC and Nix and he says, "We have a problem."
How do we fix him?
I do.
Fuck, we have enough things to fix around here.
I know. The whole city is broken.
And the one
Fine.
person to fix it needs to be fixed.
I'm fine. I have a plan. I know exactly what we're going to do to fix everything.
Does it involve that hook? Then no.
Has Nix been sharing with us that he has been working on the halls and the hollows? Because you read the book before though, and you said you were sharing the information from the book, and you read the whole book, correct?
We don't have the. It's a hollow book. No, it's a whole book. We don't have that one. That's the one Marek
Oh,
has.
son of a bitch.
That's the one Marek has.
Do we all know that that's what the book's about, the other book?
Mm-hmm.
That's
We
We would know about the book and know that we need to get it.
you know about the book. And you know what it. You know that you need to get it. I don't know that Nick showed you what the blueprints are or what Nicholas was working on.
Is Tren in chat? He is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Here's the meta question that I'm throwing out to Johnny and everybody involved, including Tren. If he's stuck in the field, which makes him, by definition, a spiritual entity, that is natural resting state is the field.
Mm-hmm.
He inhabits a body that happens to be his own when he concentrates on it. That makes him a ghost. That's what Nye does.
Yeah.
She picks a body to inhabit, and if she's not concentrating on it, she reverts back to her spirit state.
Could it be a conflict?
No, she
That's
takes
not-
over a body as a ghost, and she
That's
lives in it, and
Right,
it
right, okay.
decays, and she feeds off of it. It's different.
Right.
That's-
Okay, I got that. But what I'm saying is it's similar to the point where it's a conscious effort to, he can't stay in that body unless he thinks about it. And that's
He's
similar
always
to-
in the body. His body goes
So is
into the
body,
field.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's my question. It's like a chicken and egg type of thing.
So instead of taking a spirit out of the body,
That's it.
it's still attached.
Is the
So-
body going with the
Spirit
spirit,
and
or is the spirit going with the body? That's what I want to know here. If the spirit is separated, we're going to have to pull him apart.
To me, it sounds like the reverse of whatever your ability is, Steam, where
Yep.
you concentrate to disappear into the field. He's always in the field, and he has to concentrate to stay out of it. So
But
it's
his
basically the
physical
inverse.
body has to. He has
His
to.
physical
he has
body.
to. Got it.
Yeah,
It's not his spirit.
the
It's
opposite
everything.
of your ability.
It's an
Yep.
inverted phase thing.
Yeah, it's everything.
So my theory is this, and this is for Tren and Johnny. If that's his resting state, then the only way that I could think of healing that would be to separate the spirit from the body, essentially making Bowerstone a hollow, and then reintegrating the spirit into the hollow and kind of doing a hard reset.
His spirit is native to the body. He's suffused in it since birth. While he is concentrating, the spirit main charm wouldn't do much to him in Tren's thinking. Now that's an interesting point in and of itself, except that in the 2 weeks since, his concentration and his ability to control his phasing is starting to wane because he's exhausted, right?
Right.
We talked about that from a mechanical perspective when the next score hits. To answer your question specifically, in my head, and I'll let Trindane answer it in his own way, in my head, the thing that makes a difference here is that's an unknown, but if you can convince Nyx to share the information that he just acquired, there's a fair bit in there about what it means to prepare a hollow and essentially do resurrection versus possession.
OC was going to suggest that we go get the book that we know on holes exists. Whether that leads us to him giving us information or not, we want that book may help.
Yes, and
There-
Steam will explain his theory, separating the spirit from the body, and Nyx can do with that if something triggers in Nyx's vast knowledge of everything that he's learned about over these last 2 weeks.
If he can
Then-
get past his douchebaggery, maybe.
So if you explain what you think is happening to him,
Yes, Steam's working theory is if we do a hard reset and split the spirit and the body and then reincorporate them, he might be able to revert back to his regular state. That's Greg and Steam's working theory.
so Nick sips the drink he has and then smiles over the cup and says, "Well, as luck would have it, I have great news for everyone. First of all, I'm pretty sure I can do that. Second of all," and he pulls the dagger out and sort of throws it into something wood and then points to OC, "I'm also pretty sure I can make you one." And points to the dagger. And lastly, I think I found your friend Pendrin
Where?
in the Lost District.
Fuck.
Exactly. Also, that's Leviathan bone. And he points back to the dagger.
So you have been at work for the last 2 weeks.
If you catch my drift.
Judging by the maps that we have, I have not been studying them for a few days. We can get in underground.
We can.
Come up next to it or under it.
We can. But there are other creatures eating at its lower extremities. I'm not sure what that means, or what they are, or what feeds on a Leviathan, but I don't like it either way.
I need some of that bone.
Yes, well, I will warn you that the creation of this is more violent and dangerous than the creation of whatever abomination of a hook he is creating. And his destroys the fabric of the ghost field. This would likely kill you. Good news again. There's a man in Udasha that can make them. At least that's the rumor.
I have a reason to go there anyway.
Well,
What is feeding on the Leviathan?
enormous eel.
One eel?
Dozens of them.
The ones that the gondoliers use to dispose of bodies.
I'm not entirely sure.
Those could be useful as well. I have a few people I'd like to dispose of.
I feel like they're larger than the hagfish.
I have a question. Usually whenever a electroplasm or hagfish are used to destroy a body, it's to make sure a spirit does not rise. What happens when a Leviathan dies?
There is no spirit to devour.
And you know this how?
Right? Johnny, did I just make that up?
I always thought it was Nick's bullshitting.
No, I just...
Most of this show is.
You don't know it.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds right. Because he researched a bunch of shit on the Codex Diablo and all the creatures of demonic bent. Do they have a soul? Do I know that?
They appear in the field.
They do, but
They
as
appear-
a whole thing.
Right. They have the same representation as the body, right? So it's like a demon body, right? It's essentially the spiritual energy made flesh, right? It's not just a separation of spirit and flesh. In this particular case, for the most part, you would probably be very confident in saying no. However, there was never any mention and in the recorded documentation of essentially the fauna of the world that was documented there, or the zoology of it, of leviathans of this size, nor any matching this particular description based on the accounts that you've heard. The gigantic size of it, the amount of tentacles, essentially it's a general shape. So this may be an undocumented or special case.
Yeah,
But your assumption, based on everything that you read, no,
Yeah.
they do not have.
He says, no, this cast of demon is without a soul.
Curious.
OC's gonna look to Raymond. You say this happened because you were unconscious. While you were unconscious.
I pushed myself too far. I wasn't strong enough, Mentor. I'm sorry. I wasn't ready.
Did you wake up refreshed, or were you still exhausted?
It felt like a blink. It was only the hours that I knew had passed when I woke up. Refresh is not a feeling anymore.
Was it better than the sleep you're getting now?
Somewhat.
She's going to try to knock him unconscious. Because we need him in a normal state.
But that
And
put
if
me in
being
the ghost
unconscious cuts any, like you dream, have some brain activity, she's trying to alleviate that so he can get some rest and not be such a crazy pants.
So you knock him out.
If she thinks it'll be helpful. That's pretty much what she's asking him is, did you feel any, did you sleep at all when that happened? Or did you feel better than when you're sleeping now?
Yeah. That's going to send me in the ghost field, I think, because I'm no longer concentrating.
That's correct. He's going to phase out.
He's standing, right?
He's sitting at the table.
Sitting.
Okay.
We're all standing.
So you're gonna knock him out, right?
Gently, but yeah.
Right.
Gently knock him out.
I mean, she's not gonna beat his face in. She's gonna hit him once against the table, so he's just
Right,
sleeping.
it's the cinematic, over the head with the butt of a gun, right? That just doesn't look like it hurts or bruises at all, but knocks him out.
She's gonna finish the rest of the bottle that he was passing drinks from, and then just crack it over his head.
All right, so that happens. Raymond loses consciousness, and of course, it just kind of tips over, and then I assume you just sort of fade away.
So yeah, fade away,
And you're visible, but you're not. You're not.
So my father.
Yeah, you're not corporeal.
My father would basically grab me by the shoulder and start shaking me, and then my mother would get straight into OC status. Stupid girl.
As soon as he goes down, Steam stands over top of him and pulls out the Spirit Bane charm. You're going to let your boy sleep.
He is my boy. He is part of our family.
He's not your
why he
boy.
didn't-
You don't know
why
what he's done. You don't know where he's been. He's a man now. It's time to leave him alone.
He wears silly little masks and prances around Duskfall. That's not healthy. And let me guess, you probably let him do this. He's weak.
Stalking your son isn't healthy either, and I'm not judging you. And she's just going to put her jacket under Bowerstone's head so he's at least not, just laying try to make him somewhat comfortable.
Now you listen to me.
While he's talking, Nix reaches into the interior of his jacket and pulls out his mask and tosses it to Steam and says, "They're worse than he is. We have a lot to plan. Shut him up." And tosses you his Spirit Bane mask. You're muted.
Can't hear you, Craig.
Me? Yeah, the Spirit Bane mask to me for Bowerstone,
For
or me.
Bowerstone, yeah. Since you're standing over top of him.
It's going to burn the shit out of him.
They'll shut up.
Yeah.
So we're
He's
going
already
to.
going to be uncomfortable with you standing over him with the Spirit Bane charm, right? So he's already going to be in pain, unconscious with that.
I'm going to come out with a massive burn mark on my face for this.
Well, no.
mask.
My point with all that is to keep them away from him to allow him to rest. So it's not necessarily.
And it's uncomfortable for him to rest, though.
Yeah, you're waking him up by doing that because it's attached to his body.
Oh no, he's been awake for a really long time, so he's exhausted. He's in that exhausted state. So, but it's still going to be painful for him regardless.
She's going to say, "Let him sleep."
Why don't I just take our son home?
She's going to push her.
In the ghost field?
Mm-hmm.
She's carrying a child. Just want to say that.
No, I'm not going to push her hard. Just away from Bowerstone. She now has a 5-foot radius of getting away from Bowerstone.
She's carrying a ghost baby.
Yeah.
What a baby going to do? Drop the baby? Fuck it, it's already
I like how
dead.
you were like, she has a baby. She's dead. They're all dead. They're
Yeah,
dead.
I mean,
Yeah, she's
we
just
can't do
gently
anything.
nudging them back and let them rest.
So as you push her, she stumbles back, and his father goes to step in, but with the Bane charm and the mask there, it's almost like an initial rush, but an intense heat. So he retracts. When these objects are not around,
Neither will you.
pay
be.
for that.
There's
touch
many
my
ways to kill a
wife.
ghost. Back off.
He pulls back with mother and daughter. You realize one thing. He is our son, and he will do as we instruct him.
Until we fix him.
You leave him alone and allow him to rest, or we will fit the three of you for a bottle. A very small bottle.
Raymond always comes home. And with that, they begin to retract and leave.
Well, that was pleasant.
No wonder he goes crazy in that house. His people are mad. So, about fixing Nye. I acquired her. I don't know if I told you that, Nye, Nix.
One would assume burns an entire house down.
It was an accident. Things tend to get heated when people die around me.
Steam. Ha ha ha.
We need to find that book. I think it'll still be helpful. And if Caius, we don't know what happened with Caius. We weren't there. We want that last book so that he cannot have it. If nothing else.
And I need yours as well.
When we get the last book. Is that fair?
So, kill Marek, steal Leviathan, go to the Lost District, rebuild your girlfriend, and kill his parents?
We're not killing his parents. We're going to fix him.
Either way.
We will let him decide. We don't decide for other people's loved ones. We should have learned that by now.
Either way. We have a full plate.
Oh, and Keel, he's an asshole, so add him to the list.
Sure, why not?
He's along the way to the Lost District. We can just stop for a second, kill him, and then keep going.
Okay.
I understand that you want to start wherever you want to start, and he clearly wants to start there. Steam, you seem to be the most sensible one here. Thoughts? Where would you go?
Where everyone else in the city is focused. A being of great power crashed into Duskfall. I believe we should have some of that power.
Well then. To Ankyat Park.
Scene.
So, as you begin to adjourn, in the doorway, OC, you see an old woman
Oh, God damn it.
staring at you.
Is it the same old lady that I just accidentally murdered?
You didn't accidentally do anything.
Is it that lady?
You didn't accidentally do anything. And no, it's not. It's another one.
I would recognize from the vision Magdalene. Is that Magdalene?
No.
None of the people from my vision or any of the people that I've seen.
None of the people that you've ever seen before.
Okay.
But there is an old woman staring at you, and she is definitely a spirit.
You'll see OC's grip. She reaches for Steam's arm and looks right at her. Not scared, but just a...
Does Steam know her?
Steam does not recognize her at all.
Does Nix?
She, however, is... No.
Okay.
However, she is hunched over and carrying a cane and wears a hairstyle that is very unusual, and her clothing appear to be of a style that OC might vaguely recognize at one point from one of the wardrobes of one of the Dimmer sisters.
This is not good. Well, on to the next thing.
She won't allow you to pass her.
What do you want, old one?
She points at OC.
Well, you can't have her.
There is a price that must be paid.
I do not believe you have enough coin.
I am not the one paying it. And she looks back at OC.
What is the debt?
The sisters.
My debt.
The sisters. You owe us much.
I don't believe I can bring them back.
Dear child. No wonder they looked on you as a lost waif. You owe us a debt, and you will pay with your life. She reaches out her hand and says, "Are you ready?"
Can I look to Nyx for the knife? It's in the table. He threw it to make a point.
You can grab the knife, sure, if you want. I mean, it's there. She's holding her hand out in front of you.
Fuck.
Does she react to the Spirit Bane charm?
No.
We're all attuned, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yes.
if I refuse,
Then the debt will be paid by force.
who are you?
The oldest. And when you see you're pausing there, she's just giving you this motion like this, motioning you forward to come to her.
Is the old wizard there? Is the judge there?
The judge is not there.
OC will start to trying to decide if I could punch this bitch in the face because I could fight ghosts, but I don't think she's a ghost. I think she's too strong. I don't want to piss her off more. I don't know what to do.
Pick some action or say something to her.
She's going to turn to Steam. She's going to, on his shoulder, as close as possible, leaning past him. Fix her. And she's going to go with the old woman.
No, she's not.
Mm-hmm.
You take the old woman's hand.
Steam has hold of your other hand.
Do you take the old woman's hand? Steam, do you try to stop her? I'm just curious about this.
Steam's holding on to her, and if she's taught him, he's the whole way. This is not the way. This is. Do not do this.
How else?
You're putting yourself at a disadvantage. If she wants you to pay a debt, it can be paid, just not at this time.
Must it be now?
So you take her hand?
I'd already taken her hand. If something's going to happen when I touch her, it already happened.
Well, no. I mean, so you have to walk towards her. I'm assuming because I'm giving Steam an opportunity to finish that.
He's holding on to her, and he's not going to. I mean, he's trying to impede her, but he's not forcefully interjecting himself between the two of them. But he's kind of hand on shoulder telling her, "No, don't do this. This, you do not know what this woman is. She could be, she could not even be representative of the Dimmer sisters."
Are you not the oldest sister?
The oldest.
And you are a god. What is this crone? You keep saying that. The sisters owe her a debt for stealing Nye and lying to her. They paid theirs. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as Duskfall's concerned, it is even.
There is a legacy. There is a destiny. And there is a debt. Pay up. As she begins to walk forward towards you.
I'm going to, out on a whim here, because she was going to grab me anyway, grab that dagger and try to cut at her. It does nothing, I'm assuming.
Because the dagger.
Do you jump for the dagger?
The dagger's for ghosts, right? And spirits or
Nope.
something?
It's for demons.
It's for demons. Do you jump for the dagger?
No. Then no. I'm just going to kick it or punch at her and try to get by.
Do you want to use that crit success that was just donated to you?
Sure. Is it gonna do nothing?
Oh no, it's going to do something significant. So as you punch her, you connect, right, with the spirit, and your hand sort of passes through, but at the same time, it's like you hit some inner core of her, and she immediately flies back. But as she's flying back, she's reaching out, and she's trying to grab onto you, and you feel the fingers in her spiritual ghostly hand try to dig into you. And at that moment, you feel that she is trying to possess you. But as the momentum of your punch pushes her back, sends her flying, her spirit body just sort of lands there. And slowly she gets up and just...
So I knew that she was trying to possess me based on the feeling.
You felt.
So I'm going for that fucking dagger just in case.
Well, so this is the kind of thing whereas with Nye coming into your body and you sharing your body with her on occasion, you got the same sensation of what that is, except this was more painful because it was forceful possession.
Yeah.
And so she's grabbing onto you, trying to do that as you're sending her, essentially her spiritual form, far away. And she gets up slowly. And she says, "That was your only chance for this to be easy."
Can I do something quickly before she does what she's going to do anyway?
Sure.
I'd like to run over and whisper something to Steam. And the purpose being, which he would understand with Sling, it's hard to differentiate whether it's someone who's possessed or not. I'm going to tell him Naya's real name. Only I would know that. Only I would say that out of, My fear is she's going to possess me and they're not going to know, or they're going to think they can fix it or whatever. And that would be my OC's last ditch effort is I have to hold on to knowing something.
As you turn around from whispering in his ear, you notice that she's fading away. And there is a maniacal grin on her face. And that's where we're going to end it.
Wow, she's fucked.
There are always consequences.
Guys,
I can't help it, I'm flammable.
Welcome back to Duskfall.
I'm a fire hazard.
So that was the season 3, the final season premiere of 6 and 20, The Shroud. Guys, this is going to be a whirlwind of a season. We have 9 more episodes. Be sure not to miss a single one of them. If you haven't caught up already on season 1 and 2, they are available on our YouTube channel. I encourage you to go check them out because they are outstanding. If you liked the faces at the beginning of this episode, you'll love the faces at the end of season 2 finale because we were losing our mind. Greg had to leave the show. It was intense. So with that, we'll go around, introduce our cast and crew here, and get your thoughts on the episode. Johnny, this is your second stream of the week. Your second stream back in a few weeks. Welcome back to Duskfall. Who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of the premiere of Shroud?
So, my name is Johnny. I'm a GM for 6 and 20, of course. Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. Tonight's The Shroud. Last night was The Void. Tomorrow night is Phantom over on Not So Speedruns channel. What I thought of tonight. I had a bunch of things I wanted to reveal to you guys to start essentially the final character arcs for a couple of you. And then a couple of you, and I'm going to highlight Raymond and Nix in particular, did a phenomenal job in really kind of setting up your arcs on your own in a very, in the direction that you thought would be really interesting. So I'm really proud of you guys as a group because there was something else that happened tonight that was really awesome. There was a fair amount of RP and exposition going on between the characters, and it was a real growth moment for you guys because I don't think you've done more than 5 minutes of RP and like really intense RP, and there was a bunch of that tonight. One was the OC and Steam fight. Another was the circumstances around Raymond. It all came together, guys. It was great. Thank you very much. Nice way to be back.
Sweet. Speaking of Raymond and his crazy family and his crazy new facial twitches, Cryptas Gaming, Slade, who are you? What are you doing here? What did you think of the season premiere of the Shroud?
So yeah, Cryptas Gaming, find me on Twitch and Twitter, and I play Raymond Bucketful of Issues Bowerstone. I can't pronounce Library to save my life, and I had a great season premiere. Started off crazy, and holy hell, how the hell is this going to end? I can't wait for it.
That as mommy issues or daddy issues?
Family issues.
Yes.
The man wears a mask, for goodness sake. He's got issues.
He's got some. He needs some parental guidance. We'll jump over to the best babysitter in the group, Grimjack21502. Greg, who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of the season 3 premiere?
Oh, I had a blast. Grimjack21502 on Twitch and Twitter, and I had a fantastic time. I agree completely with what Johnny said. I sat back and watched our Bower Batman become our Bower Joker in the, course of 30, 45 minutes, and it was glorious, and I loved every second of it. I love playing with you guys. You guys are the best. I love Johnny's GM style. It gets us involved, and we're completely back in Duskfall in a matter of moments. Super duper fun. Can't wait to see how the season goes and how these characters ultimately end up, which is you hardly ever get to see a character through to the end, and we're going to get a chance to do that one way or the other, so we'll see what happens. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Grimjack21502. I also DM Tomb of Annihilation over on Encounter Roleplay Mondays from 4:30 to 7:30. I'm on Call of Cthulhu on Encounter Roleplay on Wednesdays 1 to 4. I also have Pulp Cthulhu on my own channel, Grimjack21502, on Sundays from 7 to 9. And I am now on Learn by Play on Dungeons and Dragons every Saturday from 6 to 9. So see you all there. If you're sick of me, if not, I'll see you back here next week. Thanks, guys.
So before I toss it over to Miss Ginger Ninja, two things. Greg, I'm disappointed that you didn't beat OC's ass. Now we're never going to hear the end of it. It's going to be really inconvenient for the rest of the season. And two, have you made it public what you're doing with your Pulp Cthulhu game? So I can talk about how cool that fucking shit is?
The Ministry of the Occult has been revealed. The members of the Ministry of the Occult have not been revealed
yet. So can you tell people what the Ministry of the Occult is and how it works in your game? Because if you guys like Cthulhu and you liked the Cthulhu game that Greg ran here on the channel for the charity stream, I encourage you to go check out his Pulp Cthulhu. It's very different from what he ran here, and then he's adding this really awesome twist to it that I am super fucking excited for. Greg, tell us what that is so people can go check you out.
Oh, yeah, sure. My Pulp Cthulhu on Sunday nights, it takes place in 1933 in pre-World War II America and all over the globe. And a band is kind of formed from typical pulp heroes that have specializations and things like that. But instead of having the GM be the bad guy, which is, of course, me, I decided to conscript several of the hardest RPers to ever throw the dice to play the Nazis' Ministry of the Occult. These four shadowy figures will, in fact, determine what happens to the PCs by throwing the full weight of the Reich against them. So they will meet in kind of private, and then every 6 to 8 weeks they will appear on screen for 30 to 45 minutes where they dictate the course and the response to the actions of the PCs.
How fucking cool is that, guys? So definitely go check that out. It's on Sundays. It's 8 o'clock, right? 7 o'clock? What time is it? 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, yeah. And he's working on getting it on YouTube because people like me keep harassing him repeatedly
it's on,
to make it happen.
First episode's up.
All right. There you go. Now it's up on YouTube. I assume that's also Grimjack21502.
It is.
There you go. Now it's YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You got to update your bio.
I know.
And last but not least, here to watch the world burn and fuck up things for everyone, Miss Ninja, who are you? What are you doing here? And what did you think of the season premiere?
I am Xmas Ninja. I run a gaming channel. So I think it was interesting. I liked it a lot. I liked more incorporating more RP into it. It's definitely a lot better than just doing all the mechanics and everything. It was nice. Also got your ass kicked. But yeah, old lady Diddly Hands is gonna come kill me eventually, or take my soul, or possess me.
Gross.
We'll find out.
Gross.
Just the old lady.
So, guys, that was the season
We'll
premiere
find
of
out.
season 3. We have 9 episodes left. Tomorrow we'll be back for more Havoc in the Hinterlands. Sunday we'll be back for more Simba Room. And keep your eyes peeled because we have some new shows coming out in 2018. And I'm going to be releasing some hot exclusives about those in our Discord. If you guys are not in our Discord, fucking go over there and do that. For now, we're going to go raid our friends over at Saber Dice. A couple friends of mine are playing, and Will is the new DM from Encounter Roleplay for Season 2 of Saber Dice. So I'm going to hit that raid. You guys go click that little button up in the top, and it will automatically take you over there. And go ahead and copy and paste this into their chat. And from all of us to you guys, bye-bye.